The second leading rusher in the Canadian Football League was BC's Andrew Harris, and you know they're going to need big production from him today against the Stampeders in Calgary, who also boast a big running back in Jerome Messam. There to fill in for John Cornish. Let's set up the Western semifinal and head to McMahon and join Rod Black and Dwayne Ford.
All right, thank you, Rod. A beautiful day here as we get ready, closer to kick time at the West Division semifinal. But let's talk about those two running backs who both wear number 33 and both are game changers.
Yeah, no doubt about that. When you look at Andrew Harris for the BC Lions, Jerome Messam for the Calgary Stampeders. Messam, obviously a great pickup, replacing John Cornish, allowing the Stampeders to stay with their ratio format of a Canadian running back. You've got these two Canadians finishing number 1 and number 2 in the Canadian Football League in terms of yards from scrimmage, each around 1,000 yards through the air, each around 500 yards, 1,000 on the ground, around 500 through the air. For Andrew Harris, there is absolutely no question whether it's John Cornish or Jerome Messam. He looks forward to that matchup between a couple Canucks in the backfield.
Yeah, you want to have a bigger game. You want to have a bigger game than the guy that you're going against. You know, ultimately you're a competitor. You're trying to win. You know, so no matter what it is, you're trying to win the game and trying to rack up more yards or make more big plays than the opposite guy going against.
Both of these teams like to throw the football, but it's playoff football. We're going to see a lot of pounding the ground here.
Yeah, and certainly that ground game is going to be important for the Calgary Stampeders. Bo Levi Mitchell is better when that running game is going. And obviously Jonathan Jennings, a young quarterback making his first playoff start for the BC Lions. Andrew Harris is a guy who can take a little bit of heat off of him. Now, having said that, you've got two guys who are very good receivers out of the backfield as well. As I said, around 500 yards through the air for each of these two backs. Either way you cut it, they're going to be a big part of the game plan today.
Think about the trade deadline move that John Hufnagel made because Jerome Messam came over. A lot of people said, well, why? Well, because John Cornish is unable to play. He's in fact signing autographs today. Stamps would love to have him, but they love the insurance policy in Jerome Messam. As we move closer to the kick here in Calgary for the Western Division semifinal.
All right, thank you, guys. Rod Smith back with Jock Climbing, Matt Dunnigan, Milt Stiegel, and Chris Schultz in part 2 of our round 1 playoff doubleheader to see what the matchups will be in the division finals next week. We do know the Ticats are going back to Ottawa after beating the Argos earlier. Now, another underdog in the BC Lions, a more prohibitive underdog in this case. 7 wins only compared to 14 for Calgary. And there are other reasons, too, with the Stamps at home at McMahon Stadium, why they're prohibitive favorites in this game.
Yeah, I know. It's. I think everyone agrees the Calgary Stampeders are always a better football team this year. But, you know, there are things that make a football team a dominant one. And, you know, I think Edmonton and all the attention there has maybe gotten us to forget about just how good this team is. And in some key categories, too. I mean, you look at defensive points allowed, number 1 in the CFL. Sacks allowed, number 1. Fewest giveaways and fewest penalties. When I saw these stats and put these together, I said, this is a team that shows you consistency and discipline. When you lead in those areas, like penalties, like sacks allowed, that tells you that you are a football team that's all about making sure that you are consistent, and that starts with the coaching staff. You know Coach Hufnagel has got these guys zeroed in.
Absolutely, and they get some of the veteran guys back, particularly on the defensive side of the football, right in the middle, Juwan Simpson, who we know is a vocal leader and is a playmaker defensively for this football team, and I absolutely love that, you know, moving forward. Yes, Charleston Hughes is out of the lineup, but it's offset. You know, they got players that have plugged and played all year. And then Marquay McDaniel on the other side. Marquay McDaniel is an undervalued player in this league, never gets the respect, in my opinion, and I kind of agree with what Nick Lewis said on Twitter earlier in the week. You know, this guy was overlooked, but Marquay McDaniel's a stud, and he absolutely gets it done offensively for him.
Yeah, they have some great weapons on offense, and they can do it with anybody. But these BC Lions have opportunity in this game, and I think because of their defense. Yeah, Jonathan Jennings needs to play well special teams, but this defense needs to come up big. And early on, I think these Calgary Stampeders are going to try to establish run. They're going to try to get Messam going. And I say that because Bo Levi Mitchell is a good quarterback, but he's a great quarterback when he has that balance of run and pass. So these BC Lions better stop that run early. If they can't do that, they don't have a shot. If they can, they have a chance of winning this game.
Who throws touchdown passes to you? The quarterback, man. I understand your defensive theories, but this is about the quarterback for the BC Lions. I thought Jonathan Jennings was by far the most spectacular football player in the last third of this CFL season. He's athletic. He can throw from the pocket. He can throw from outside the pocket. He runs when he has to run, and he is calm, cool and collected. We just saw a game where a guy named Mazzoli beat a guy named Ray. And I'm surprised. Can a guy named Jennings beat a guy named Mitchell? Hey, Rod, it's possible, man.
That's a very interesting point you just made there, Mr. Schultz. And by the way, Stampeders didn't see him last week, but they have seen Jonathan Jennings. They did in the preseason. They were the first to see him in the regular season back in Week 13. Even though he threw 3 picks, he showed that spark that made you think this guy could be a star in the future. Like this guy is now, Bo Levi Mitchell, West nominee for Outstanding Player, Grey Cup MVP as well, looking to get a step closer and head north to Edmonton next week. They got to beat the BC Lions first, and the kickoff to that game is coming up here on TSN.
Mitchell steps up, throws on the run into the end zone. Touchdown!
I don't give the BC Lions a chance, and that's no disrespect to them.
Me personally, I take it as disrespect.
Of course, you're not going to get a number 3 team, you know, the props and credit that they need.
You do know that the Calgary Stampeders have double the wins of the BC Lions for a reason, right?
I hope to put a foot in Jock Clumby's mouth. Not mine, but maybe a couple foot from everyone on this team.
Yeah, normally it's the opposing team that provides the bulletin board material. In this case, for the BC Lions, Jock Climby provided it, and
I'm here for all your entertainment.
there you go.
Hey, that's what I'm here for.
Maybe the Stampeders don't like what you're doing here because it's riled up the Lions. Adam Bighill now. Here he is with Farhan Lalji.
With the CFL's newest father, Adam Bighill. Adam, it's been a whirlwind 24 hours for you. Take us through it.
You know, I was just definitely hoping to be there, and the timing worked out. I mean, 1 a.m. Friday morning contraction started, and you know, I had a good feeling that you know, things were going to work out great for us. And 11:23, Adam Jr., AJ was born, and you know, it couldn't be a better feeling.
How do you go from the emotion of that to a football game the next day?
You know, that was a really emotional high, and it was such a powerful moment, and you know, so proud of my wife, and to be here now, and the timing working out great, and you know, I mean, 3 hours for a football game seems like nothing now.
You've had 121 tackles this season. You might need a few more against Jerome Messam. Talk about the challenges of facing him.
I mean, he's just a physical runner, and you know, he tests your will to tackle, and you know, fortunately for me, I've never been, you know, shy of contact. So, you know, it's going to be a great battle out there, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Adam, thanks for this, and congratulations.
Pleasure, thank you.
Yes, congratulations, Pops. Yes. I said the Lions are riled up. Nothing can rile up Adam Bighill, though. New dad, that's absolutely awesome. But other Lions were, though, so I hear. Well, we heard a little bit of that, too. So now it comes to prediction time. We know where you stand. We'll save you for last. You know, what do you think of this game? Calgary, BC?
Well, less than 2 minutes ago, I was singing the praises of Jonathan Jennings, and I do believe he is a spectacular quarterback, but not today. Too fundamentally sound, too disciplined, too boring as a football team, the Calgary Stampeders. Boring wins, Stampeders over BC Lions.
Well, first of all, I know we're going to have a great game, just like the first game, a spectacular game, but the Calgary Stampeders are just too sound. The personnel, the coaches, everybody involved, that organization is just too sound, and they will definitely win this game.
14-4 speaks volumes when you had an offensive line that was decimated and a bunch of changes defensively. The Calgary Stampeders, to me, are the cream of the crop in this football game. And I don't care if you're gelling at the right time, Jock. I'm a believer in you. 7 wins does not cut it. You can't turn it on and turn it off. Calgary Stampeders have had it on all season long.
So we already know, Jock, it's your turn.
No, hold on a second here. I happen to believe that my inspiration is going to create one of the greatest upsets in CFL playoff history. I am calling for a BC Lion victory.
There it is.
They are riled up.
You're turning the tables now.
Topsy-turvy.
That's a true lawyer right there.
There you go.
Never underestimate your own power, I suppose, to influence a team.
I am a motivational speaker, apparently.
You did the Lions a favor, now you're going to cash in on it.
That's right.
And I know, Milt, you haven't put me on the spot.
Yeah, what do you got?
I'm going Calgary as well.
All right.
More predictable.
I'll be gloating when this is all said and done.
Jonathan Jennings getting ready for the game of his life right now. And, hey, you never know. The way Jennings has looked down the stretch, a big one for him at McMahon Stadium, the West semifinal, coming up here on TSN.
There's a semifinal showdown at McMahon.
Making the catch and the touchdown.
The most dangerous offense in these parts against an upstart gunslinger who could be a star in the making.
Jennings gets away again. Touchdown!
Can the Lions survive a shootout in Calgary, or are they about to be run out of town? Lions, Stampeders, next.
The Calgary Stampeders are about to play their 100th playoff game. And they're taking on a team they haven't faced in the postseason in 3 years, and that one was at BC Place. Calgary pulled off the upset there. Can the Lions pull off the upset here? The winner heads north to Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton to take on the Eskimos in the Western Final. Marquay McDaniel being introduced for the Calgary Stampeders, wearing their black jerseys. Once again, the road in the West, the Grey Cup going through Calgary. Last year, it was against the Eskimos in the Western Final. But this Calgary team, for 3 straight years, have won at least 14 games. Another strong season at 14-4. Bo Levi Mitchell, the Western nominee for Outstanding Player in the Canadian Football League, through second to Henry Burris in passing yardage, over 4,500 yards in the season, 26 touchdown passes. That's tied for second in the CFL as well. A Grey Cup MVP a year ago. What's in store this time around for the starting quarterback for the Calgary Stampeders, trying to make it a Battle of Alberta next week? But first, BC awaits as we head to McMahon Stadium now and the pregame ceremony.
Ladies and gentlemen, this past week on Remembrance Day, we reflected on Canada's war dead and thanked those who served and serve in our military. Today, in recognition of the importance of remembrance, please join us and Veterans Affairs Canada as we pay tribute to our nation's greatest heroes, Canada's veterans. Joining us on the field are members of the Canadian Association of Veterans in United Nations Peacekeeping, who are providing an honor guard for the Canadian Armed Forces Flag Party, who are proudly carrying our Canadian flag. Our bugler, Corporal David Yu of the King's Own Calgary Regiment, and our anthem soloist, Constable Kate McIver of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, are escorted by fellow officers, Constable Landon King and Corporal Alex De Silva. Fans, please rise and join the BC Lions and the Calgary Stampeder football clubs in a moment of silence in recognition of and respect for the men and women who have for generations bravely served and sacrificed to keep Canada strong, proud, and free. In addition to remembering and honoring Canada's veterans, we would also like to stand in solidarity with our friends across the Atlantic. Today, although an ocean and thousands of kilometers divide us, we, along with the rest of the globe, stand side by side with our friends in Paris, France. We now ask you to join us in a second moment of silence as we show our deepest respect for those lost and affected by this senseless act against humanity. Now, please remain standing and join Constable Kate McIver of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police in the singing of Canada's national anthem.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all thy sons command. Car ton bras s'est porté l'épée, il s'est porté la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Hello, Canada, and those of you watching in the United States, around the world, this is the Western semifinal. Win, and you stay in, and you play in Edmonton against the Eskimos next week. The underdog Lions, the favored Calgary Stampeders.
Well, let's start with some similarities between these two teams. For the Calgary Stampeders, at quarterback, it's Bo Levi Mitchell, young gunslinger, 25 years old. Record of 13-4 this season. He's going to rely in the backfield on a Canadian running back who rushed for over 1,000 yards this season. Jerome Messam finished number 3 in the CFL in that category. He replaces John Cornish today. For the BC Lions, it's another young gunslinger, Jonathan Jennings. 6 starts this season. He went 3-3, but has been hot over those 6 games. 15 touchdown passes versus 7 interceptions, and he too will rely on a Canadian running back who rushed for over 1,000 yards. Andrew Harris, 2nd in the Canadian Football League in that category in 2015.
It is a beautiful day for mid-November, a couple weeks away from the Grey Cup. Sunny but windy. BC won the toss, and already the wind factors in here. The ball was on the tee. Richie Leone will have to tee it up again. Matt Walter and Sky Dawson are back for the Stampeders. Their 3rd uniform, the Blacks. Here we go. Western semifinal. Ball is in the air. The playoff is underway. It's Dawson trying to find his seam. He gets outside and knocked out of bounds by the new daddy, Adam Bighill. So the Calgary Stampeders trot out their offense, led by Bo Mitchell.
Bo Levi Mitchell, the West Division's finalist for most outstanding player this season. Plenty of help for him. Jerome Messam, more carries over 10 yards than any running back in the league. Eric Rogers, more catches over 30 yards than any receiver in the CFL. And on the O-line, the very versatile Spencer Wilson. He was their top lineman this season. Played 4 different positions along that O-line, everywhere but center this year.
The wind blowing from right to left on your screen. Again, BC won the toss, deferred to the second half. A little pass out of the backfield to Marquay McDaniel right at the line of scrimmage. No gain on the play.
Quick play action off the bat as you take a look at the BC Lions defense. All starts in the middle. Adam Bighill, second career 100-plus tackle season. He posted a career-high 121 this year. Mikhail Brooks, the first-year man, led all interior D linemen with 51 tackles. Ryan Phillips, 46 career picks here on his 33rd birthday. Phillips tied for the league lead with 6 this season.
Lions will rush 3, throwing down for Bo Levi Mitchell. He goes deep, over the top, and overshooting the intended target. Eric Rogers, CFL's leading receiver, an outstanding year. A very quick 2-and-out for Bo Levi Mitchell and the Stampeders.
Well, strong wind at the Stampeders' back to start this football game. They take this shot as they get Rogers open down that seam, trying to immediately stretch that defense. This is what Eric Rogers does so well. As you mentioned, over 1,400 yards this year. Big frame, runs well, long arms, great catching radius.
Rob Maver with a big wind behind him. Booming kick into the sunshine. Chris Rainey will let it hop at the 5. Rainey's returned 2 kicks against the Calgary Stampeders earlier this season for touchdowns. Now Jonathan Jennings, the rookie, raw rookie in the Canadian Football League, makes his first playoff start.
Yeah, we mentioned Jennings, 3 interceptions thrown in his only appearance against Calgary this year, but 15 TDs in his last 6 starts. He's got Andrew Harris, tied for the league lead with 400-plus yard rushing games. Manny Arsenault has been the go-to guy since Jennings took over. 43 receptions, 650-plus yards for him in the last 7 games. Javon Olafioye is the anchor of that offensive line and the West Division finalist for most outstanding O-lineman.
Jennings, 24-year-old, hands it off to Andrew Harris. We're going to hear a lot about both backs today, who both wear number 33, both Canadian backs, a 3-yard pickup.
Trying to keep Andrew Harris in check. Number 1 guy charged with that task is going to be Juwan Simpson, the middle linebacker. He makes his return lineup for the first time since September. Charleston Hughes, another key defender, is out. Frank Beltre is in for him at defensive end. Freddie Bishop, the other bookend, tied for 4th in the Canadian Football League with 11 sacks this season.
Jennings up and throwing into traffic. Lavelle Hawkins has the catch. And a first down for the former NFLer. Played with the Tennessee Titans, and Lavelle Hawkins did not play a lot this season, but a 14-yard pickup. In the time he spent with Jonathan Jennings and the Lions, he did a lot of this.
Yeah, Hawkins has been the other big play guy. Is he and Manny Arsenault each average over 15 yards a catch for the season. The only other team to have a duo average over 15 yards a catch, the Saskatchewan Roughriders, with Ryan Smith and Naaman Roosevelt.
In the shadows, it's Harris. Left side. Ron Mayo drags him down, an 8-yard run by Harris, who was the leading rusher going into the final game of the season before he was knocked off by Terrell Sutton of the Montreal Alouettes.
Yeah, very different situations, obviously, for BC and Montreal going into the final week, and that impacted how they employed their running back. But nonetheless, got these 2 Canadians, Harris and Messam, both over 1,000 yards, both over 1,500 yards from scrimmage. A couple of dual threat backs we'll see go head-to-head today.
Once again, the carry from Harris, and brought down by free safety Josh Bell, who was coming up, spying that perfectly on the blitz. No gain. It'll be 3rd down, and the Lions will bring out their kick team.
Good timing here from the free safety Josh Bell, as you're going to see him sneak up, come into the box on this one.
Bell out of Baylor, a former BC Lion. This will be interesting now with Richie Leone into this wind. 32-kilometer-an-hour breeze. Bounces just out of bounds. He'll be at the 39-yard line. And Bo Levi Mitchell, 28-6 since he took over last year. Won a Grey Cup, was the Grey Cup MVP. Trying to get his team back to the big game. Have to beat BC, then Edmonton next week. Stampeders bring their offense back out. Second series went 2-0 in their first. Now Jerome Messam with his first touch. What a trade day deadline acquisition by the Calgary Stampeders, who got Jerome Messam from the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Yeah, and you talk about the top Canadian running backs in this league, obviously. Andrew Harris, John Cornish have been mentioned a lot. Jerome Messam, the 2011 most outstanding Canadian in the CFL, picked up from the Saskatchewan Roughriders at the deadline. There is numbers in 2 games with the Stampeders.
2nd down and 2. Pounding the ground again is Messam. Brampton, Ontario native, who's been around, of course, was with the Lions, then the Eskimos, the Alouettes in Saskatchewan, and has become a real insurance policy for the Stampeders, who are without John Cornish for the foreseeable future, out with a concussion.
Yeah, it allows them to preserve the ratio, and it makes for not a bad matchup here today for Calgary with Messam in the lineup against BC. Nearly 30% of his yards from scrimmage this season were accumulated in 4 games against the BC Lions.
Pistol formation again. They'll give it to Messam again, and he is brought down very quickly by Cale Brooks. Ran into that white wall. 1-yard pickup for Messam.
Well, the combination at tackle of Brooks and Minter inserted into this lineup to help stop the run for the BC Lions partway through this season. Brooks is a guy who's become quite a force, as we mentioned off the top, leading all interior defensive linemen in tackles this season.
There is an injured Stampeder on the field. It's Pierre Lavertu, and this is a team that has gone through 9 different starters, 13 different players on their offensive line, which has been decimated this season.
Well, the fascinating twist that it creates immediately in this football game, the 6th offensive lineman for Calgary in this game is Quinn Smith, a guy who was drafted and started the year playing defensive line. They needed the depth more on the other side, so Smith enters the game right now.
Will step aside at McMahon Stadium in Calgary. Western semifinal will continue. Pierre Lavertu is on the sideline. Try to get an update on that. He's the center, so Quinn Smith comes on the line from the sideline. Spencer Wilson will handle the snaps now for Bo Mitchell. Changes the play here. Here comes the rush. There goes the ball. And it's almost picked by TJ Lee. So it's 3rd down. Rob Maver will come back out.
And the BC Lions bring the blitz here. 6-man rush. Mitchell's got time to set up. He's got that faith in Eric Rogers on the outside because he has such a height advantage. We talked about that catch radius. This is a guy who can jump, a track and field guy, long and triple jumper, as well as a high jumper in college at Cal Lutheran, and long arms. He'll go get the ball, so Mitchell takes a shot there.
Rob Maver will put this one in the end zone for a single point. Tried to get the coffin corner, did not. First point goes to Calgary with the breeze here. Young Jonathan Jennings, the kid. First season in the CFL, first playoff game. Lions go back on offense in a moment. A year ago, he was the coach of the BC Lions. He's with our team this year. Mike Benavides is on the sideline. Let's check in with the coach right now.
Well, guys, if the BC Lions are going to find a victory, they're going to have to do it against the top-ranked defense of the Calgary Stampeders. An amazing 16.1 points against, #1 in the red zone, and 1 point that's not talked about enough. They will not beat themselves. They won't give you the big ball, and they're the least penalized defense in the league.
Thank you, Benny. In the league. And he's bringing in his A game. Sunglasses on. Jonathan Jennings with 2 yards. This is a team, the BC Lions, with Jennings. Freddie Bishop makes the tackle, that likes the big ball. They like to go deep.
Yeah, well, you're going to see a battle of the wills in this football game for exactly the reason that Mike mentioned. You've got Rich Stubler's defense that they almost dare you to take shots. What they want to suck you into is growing impatient on a drive and take those shots. Remember, against the Calgary Stampeders, Jonathan Jennings, no touchdown passes, 3 interceptions.
Back to pass this time. Three-man rush. He was looking deep. Now goes over the top. Catch is made on the far side by Brian Burnham. Burnham, who did not play last week in the inconsequential finale between these two teams. Burnham did not play, nor did Manny Arsenault. So Burnham with a 24-yard pickup immediately into Calgary territory.
Brian Burnham's going to start to the field side of this formation and work his way into a hole towards the boundary side. He's got those two clearing routes. Lavelle Hawkins in particular pulls two defenders deep, opens up a soft spot for Brian Burnham underneath, second level.
Pistol formation again. Hand off to Harris. Harris brought down by Bell again, and also Juwan Simpson. Juwan Simpson's back in the lineup for the Calgary Stampeders, as Dwayne Ford mentioned. First time really in a couple of months. He really is the heartbeat of their defense.
No question, Juwan Simpson brings an energy and intensity to this Calgary Stampeder defense. Obviously, the group performed very well without him while he was out with that shoulder injury. Deron Mayo took over in the middle. He was their nominee for most outstanding defensive player. But they look for a lift nonetheless from number 12 here today.
Second and one. Well, keep it on the ground. The rock to Harris again. He'll get the first down. You think Juwan Simpson was a little amped up for this one? Pre-game, Juwan Simpson had his game face on.
No question, as the teams cross paths in the early going, a little jawing between Micah Johnson and Kareem Smith. Juwan Simpson, he wanted his piece of the action.
Between me and you, come for me. This between me and you, come for me.
Obviously, so did Manny Arsenault. We may see those two colliding at one point. Perhaps a crossing pattern, and there was a whistle and a flag here.
Procedure, BC number 50. 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
Kirby Fabian. The infraction, our referee today is Dave Foxcroft. Be first and 15 now from the 41-yard line. Edmonton waits and watches and wonders who they will meet next week. Earlier today, Hamilton on a last-second field goal eliminated the Toronto Argonauts. They'll go to Ottawa. Jonathan Jennings now. Shotgun again. Drop play to Harris. Rumbling right side, and Andrew Harris close to a first down, a 14-yard pickup.
They do a nice job getting a blocker up to Juwan Simpson. He's trying to scrape to the outside on the play. They get just enough of him to allow Harris to slip by.
Again, a penalty flag and some tempers here. And they're going at it now. Jason Foster, Lions center, was pancaked down below.
Oh, the intensity hits a new level here in the postseason.
Like some movement on that line. Might have been Cody Husband. Just 1 point on the board so far.
2 infractions on the play. Procedure, BC number 62. Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Calgary number 12. It will be an automatic first down.
Well, we just talked about Juwan Simpson, how bottled up he has been getting ready for this one. 7 weeks away from the Stampeder lineup. A little too intense this time. You can see him right in the middle of your screen.
Yeah, he's getting ready to go. Husband is the guard just to his left. Husband's moving because he knows Simpson's coming.
Then a little headlock underneath.
And you like the emotion in the postseason, but you've got to be able to control it.
So red zone time for the BC Lions and Jennings. Jennings lets it fly. End zone. Almost. He got it. There's a penalty flag on the play. It did hit the ground. Chris Rainey had the football, but it was a penalty nonetheless.
Pass interference, Calgary number 28. Ball will be placed on the 1-yard line, automatic first down.
And they'll place that at the 1. That was blanket coverage there from Brandon Smith, 28 on 28.
BC Lions get the secret weapon, Rainey, into the lineup to try and take advantage of his speed. No surprise to see the Calgary Stampeders and John Hufnagel challenge that call, because I didn't see a whole lot wrong with the play by Brandon Smith.
So he's going to challenge this play.
Calgary is challenging defensive pass interference on the previous play. We'll review the play.
So they will look at this at the command center. Rainey out of the backfield, one-on-one with Brandon Smith.
Now that matchup in the middle of your screen. Might be the
Right
slightest of touches there, but certainly nothing that's impeding the receiver. Well thrown ball from Jennings, and Rainey's got a great shot at it.
And Hufnagel 5 of 12 on challenges this season. Bit of hand jabbing there from Smith, but
there was no grab, and there's not enough contact, if any.
Certainly a catchable ball. They're getting a lot of looks back at the command center. And they're looking at it on the big screen here too. Chris Rainey out of Florida. Played with the Alouettes last year. A good find for the BC Lions this season. Still awaiting the verdict here. This will be overturned. Call is DPI, defensive pass interference. Ball placed at the 1-yard line.
Again, we've seen Chris Rainey such a factor on special teams for the BC Lions down the stretch. They're trying to find ways to get him a little bit more involved offensively.
The ruling on the field is overturned. It's an incomplete pass.
Well, that is a good
second
challenge.
Down on the 17-yard line.
Hufnagel saw nothing from his vantage point. Then it was confirmed on the big screen and confirmed back at CFL command. So instead of the 1-yard line, back to the 17 they go. It'll be second down and 10.
As you said, a very good challenge there for John Hufnagel, and good coverage on the play by Brandon Smith as he's rewarded.
5 minutes to go, opening quarter. Just a single point on the board so far. Jennings takes the snap now. Little check down to Andrew Harris. Harris plowing forward. Looks like a 9-yard gain. This is going to depend on the spot. We'll see if this will be a first down, whether they will go first and goal. It's not. It'll be third down and a long one. Decision time here for Jeff Tedford and the BC Lions.
Nice execution on the play as the secondary blitz was coming. Brandon Smith, the halfback, was blitzing on the play. Andrew Harris let him go, just slipped into the space vacated by that halfback for the screen. BC opting to take
the points. Richie Leone coming out, a little chip shot. So they ate up a lot of the clock here against the wind, remember.
Tough angle for Leone here on a short field goal from the half.
Near the 16-yard line, there's the angle for Leone, who puts it through, and the BC Lions are on the board. Not much offense early on here. 3-1 Lions.
Do not be
be denied of what we want, what we came here to get.
Yeah, boy.
Play together, one play at a time. One play again. Now, understand it's windy out there. The ball may bounce different ways, so we got to always be heads up, right? Yep. Always keep your head on a swivel to what's going on. All right? Take the fight to them right now. Good decisions. Out hit them, out hustle them, out execute them. Let's get this thing done. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah!
Time to go out and play championship football. Okay? The recipe doesn't change. Okay? Playing with great effort, emotion, and execution. Okay? Playing with discipline. Great ball security. Great tackling, great ball security and discipline, and being the more physical team. If you do all of that and handle whatever adversity may arise with poise, you will win this game. Win this game, man. Let's go.
Well, two inspiring speeches from two guys who used to coach together here in Calgary, and John Hufnagel and Jeff Tedford. Sky Dawson began the season with the Edmonton Eskimos. Down here in Calgary now, up near the 35-yard line. Interesting to note in those speeches how much talk there was about execution and ball security. Those are all playoff terminologies.
Yeah, big things at any point in the year, but obviously it all becomes a little more magnified as you hit the postseason. For John Hufnagel, obviously a guy who's been through these wars many times in the Canadian Football League, a head coach here in Calgary since 2008. Jeff Tedford, he's been in plenty of big bowl games during his college coaching career, but his first game as a head coach in the Canadian Football League today.
Here's the heat again, and overshooting the back out of the field, Jerome Messam once again is Bo Levi Mitchell. With an injury update on the sideline for us today is Farhan Lalji. Farhan.
Thanks, Rod. We saw earlier Pierre Lavertu walking to the Stampeders locker room with an apparent right hamstring injury. Now, they may MRI him because there's a machine close by to determine whether or not it's torn. But right now, he was in a lot of discomfort going off. It took a while before they were able to actually evaluate him, but doesn't look like we'll see him until, at the very least, the second half. So Quinn Smith now in along the offensive line with Spencer Wilson to center.
Thank you so much, Farhan. There is Wilson. Bo Mitchell, very subpar start here, 1 for 4, and that looked like it hopped. There's a penalty flag over near the 40-yard line as well, so incomplete pass and a penalty intended for Eric Rogers. 3 minutes to go, opening frame. This is a Calgary Stampeder team that notoriously have been slow starters.
Offside. Calgary number 80. That penalty's declined. It will be third down.
Just one quarter where the differential is in the negatives for the Calgary Stampeders. That's quarter number 1 at -21. They have only scored 1 touchdown on an opening series all season long, and that number may be a little overinflated sometimes statistically, but the bottom line is this is a team also that's 14-4, and again another penalty flag. It is not how you start, it is how you finish.
Well, this is a game, though, given the wind, you want to start better.
Calgary number 94. 5-yard penalty, remains third down.
Calgary Stampeders are in a situation where BC chose an end as a result of the coin toss, and BC actually won the toss, deferred the way things played out. Calgary chose to take the ball to receive. BC chose to defend an end, so BC chose the wind in the second quarter. So Calgary with the win, they got to try and make hay here a little bit in the first half. BC's winning in time of possession and obviously in yardage and score, most importantly.
Here's Rainey, splitting a seam now and near the 32-yard line. So up comes 24-year-old Jonathan Jennings. Wasn't even a household name in his own household a few months ago, but in BC he is now, and his coach says he's grown in front of everyone.
He possesses a lot of poise. That's one thing about Jonathan. He prepares very well. He's confident in what he does. He's very humble, very focused. But I think every time he takes the field, it's the same approach. He doesn't get too high or too low. He's got more experience under his belt, understands what the game's all about, and looking for a good game from him.
He has been impressive. Jonathan Jennings out of Saginaw Valley State, Division II team in Michigan. Last playoff game was 2 years ago, his senior in college. A reverse to Burnham.
The numbers speak for themselves with regard to Mr. Jennings. Here are the numbers over the last 7 games among Canadian Football League quarterbacks. You've got a bunch of other guys right below him. Each one of them is team's nominee as most outstanding player, yet it's Jonathan Jennings who leads the way in touchdown passes during that stretch.
Chatting with him yesterday, you really get a sense of how he is not intimidated by this environment. Very poised. 2nd and 8. Checks it out, and this is picked off. And Keon Raymond is going to score. Touchdown, Calgary. Well, we just showed you the graphic of Jonathan Jennings and his touchdown passes. This was a touchdown pass, but to the wrong uniform.
Well, Keon Raymond is a veteran guy who has a knack for big plays at big times. And here he's in coverage on Burnham, and this is a ball Brian Burnham's got to catch. He's got just a little bit of separation, but that one bobble allows the ball hawk, Keon Raymond, to make a play. 4 interceptions for him this season, 1 fumble recovery.
That's the 2nd that he's taken back to the house in 2015. 1 in the regular season, now 1 in the playoffs. This is a team that constantly goes for the 2-point convert. They will again. Mitchell throws. Not this time, though. So a pick 6 from Keon Raymond.
Hey, domination on 3. 1, 2, 3.
First team to the end zone. They drink it up on the sideline.
And we'll take a look back. Brian Burnham's the number 3 receiver on this one. He's running that out route, timing route. Keon Raymond times that break perfectly, and the bobble of the ball plays out perfectly for the Stampeder linebacker. But he may have even gotten a hand in there.
38-yard interception for a touchdown. Kahari Jones, who's been through many of these playoff games as a player, now as a coach, talking with his young quarterback right now, and you don't even have to have subtitles to know exactly what he's saying.
Yeah, just trying to get things settled down.
I love you. I love you, Mama. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Uh-huh. That's what I do, baby. My house. That's what I do.
He has done that a lot. Keon Raymond, one of the best ball-hawking linebackers around. So, final minute of this first quarter. The Stampeders do score with the wind, but their defense does the scoring. Raining, spinning, knocked down at the 20-yard line. Let's go down once again to the coach, Mike Benavides.
Guys, the Calgary Stampeders needed a boost. They needed a little juice, and that was a huge play. What the Stampeder defense is doing is really taking a look at his stare, being the quarterback Jennings, and they're doing a great job jumping around. Should have been picked earlier on by McDonald, and that was a huge play. Every time we play these guys, we said, watch out for Raymond. He's a game changer.
A guy with a great nose for the football, as we mentioned. You know, Mike talked about the near pick by Brandon McDonald. That was on the first pass of the game, thrown by Jonathan Jennings out to the flat on the boundary side. It was one where Lavelle Hawkins made a catch. McDonald gambled on it and didn't quite get there, as Hawkins turned it into a nice gain. But Jennings taking some chances, throwing into tight windows, and that time Keon Raymond made him pay.
Long field now for the BC Lions. Harris. You know, you look at how this has all changed. Keon Raymond with the pick 6 and that successful challenge as well. And Raymond has had a bullseye on the BC Lions.
Well, he's had maybe the one guy in the league who's had Jonathan Jennings' number early in his career. Remember, Jennings came off the bench, played the second half of that game against Calgary back in September. Threw 3 picks in that game. Number 25 was on the receiving end of 2 of them.
Could be the final play, barring penalty in this first quarter. Jennings is snuffed out by Micah Johnson with the sack. That is quarter number 1. It'll be 3rd down. The Lions will kick when they change sides. They'll have the wind. Big play so far from Keon Raymond. Pick 6. This Western semifinal. Winner moves north to Edmonton next week. Don't judge a score sometimes by those inner statistics. Look at that. -1 passing for Calgary, with 7-3 as the score because of that key turnover. A successful challenge as well by the Calgary Stampeders.
Yeah, and obviously that's one that changed a likely touchdown into a field goal for the BC Lions. BC with Jonathan Jennings at quarterback and the things they did defensively, a very good job in the first quarter. A quarter played against the wind. You want to eat up time. They doubled Calgary in terms of time of possession. You need those drives. You try to take care of the football. They kept Calgary off the field. You saw Bo Levi Mitchell with -1 passing yard with the wind through the first quarter of this football game. So if not for Gamble throwing that out route where Keon Raymond made him pay, all good. But nonetheless, it shows you how mistake-free, how perfect you have to be against the Calgary Stampeders, that with so few mistakes, they're still down 7-3 after 15 minutes.
Richie Leone, who leads the CFL in punts over 50 yards. Picked up, scooped up by Sky Dawson. And then dropped downfield, 57-yard boot from Leone with the win. So Bo Levi Mitchell, his passing numbers, -1 yardage right now, but the benefit of his defense scoring. Stampeders leading 7-3 here early second quarter.
And for Bo Levi Mitchell, again, the West Division finalist for most outstanding player this season, 13-4 record as a starter. We'll look to see him get the ground game going here as he starts the second quarter going into the breeze.
Headed off to double threes. The bulldozer, Jerome Messam, and a penalty flag on the other side. A lot of penalties so far. This Calgary team, by the way, the least penalized team in the CFL. BC middle of the pack.
Major foul, face mask, BC number 53. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Alex Bazzi got a grip on the grill.
Take a look, Bazzi, right in the middle of your screen and on the tackle, reaching with that right hand, catches the face mask. Bazzi, a big part of that D-line rotation. He's had 4 sacks over the last few weeks to finish with the team lead and 8 on the season.
With the penalty, 23 net yards. There's a little confusion there for Bo Mitchell. Chased down by Alex Hoffman-Ellis. Knocks him out of bounds. Bo Levi Mitchell, the Western Division most outstanding player candidate. He would win hands down if not for Henry Burris.
Yeah, the remarkable season of Henry Burris, but Bo Levi Mitchell, over 4,500 passing yards this year. Seems like he's become such a fixture at quarterback for the Stampeders. It's hard to imagine that this guy is only 25 years old.
Second down and 8. All began last year for Bo Mitchell taking over the reins of the Stampeders. No quarterback in CFL history has had a better start after 34 games. 28-6, and Messam plows forward. First down inside the 30-yard line. 10-yard pickup.
Now, this is an element of Jerome Messam's game that the Calgary Stampeders really like. A guy somewhat underrated as a receiver early in the season with Saskatchewan. He was actually among the league leaders in this category, and a player who's very capable of making big plays out of short passes.
An ideal situation for the Stampeders, able to pick him up from Saskatchewan on deadline day. Bo Mitchell throws now, end zone, has a man. Again, into the breeze, has not been able to connect with Eric Rogers yet. They connected a lot in the regular season.
Well, they certainly did. Eric Rogers is the Canadian Football League's leading receiver in terms of yardage, over 1,400 yards for him, the most targeted among the Calgary receivers. Not bad for a guy. A late season addition last year. Demonstrated he was ready for full-time duty this year and has not disappointed.
So second down, throwing down again for Mitchell and the Stamps. Bo. Wide open is Rogers. Has his first catch of the 2015 playoffs.
Well, Rogers does a nice job here recognizing coverage as he curls in. You see Hoffman Ellis on the left side of the screen. Squeezes in towards the middle of the pattern. Leaving Eric Rogers on his route on the outside wide open, so he keeps it wide. Maintains his space for an easy completion for Mitchell.
15-yard gain. Here's their red zone production this season, the Calgary Stampeders. Third best in the CFL. Messam cuts back now. Gain of 2.
Well, even though Kareem Smith didn't make the tackle on that play, he does a nice job making sure he gets upfield. He's as deep as the ball carrier. He's got contained position. He forces Messam back to the inside, where he's got a little bit of help coming from the cavalry on this play.
Stampeders' last 12 trips to the red zone have resulted in 9 TDs late in the season. Trying to punch it home again. And they will. Touchdown, Rogers. Signal was a touchdown right at the goal line. Eric Rogers, who had 10 majors in 2015, his first of this year's postseason.
Ball just needs to break the front plane of that goal line. We'll take a look here.
Does. Good call right on that line. And
Eric Fraser just a split second late arriving.
they will review every scoring play. That's what they're doing right now.
The previous scoring play is under review by the command center.
How about Eric Rogers, though? This is a guy who came into this lineup last year, late in October, played a couple of games, went to the playoffs, ended up in the Grey Cup game, had some key catches, and then torched the CFL
review,
this season.
The ruling on the field is confirmed. Touchdown.
He has been the touchdown maker for the Calgary Stampeders. You look at last season, 4 touchdowns in just a handful of games for him late last year. Got off to a torrid start this year. Cooled down a little bit through mid-season. Obviously looking to pick back up the pace here.
Again, going for 2. And it is caught. Anthony Parker with a great catch for the 2-point convert on a bullet from Bo Levi Mitchell.
Anthony Parker had a big game last week in that season finale against BC. Nice catch against tight coverage there.
Let's see if this is a catch right here. Great angle.
It looks like the arm stays underneath the ball.
So they'll review that as well, but I think that's 2 points for Anthony Parker. Calgary Stampeders have turned this thing around completely. Bo Mitchell and Eric Rogers combined. 2-pointer again for Parker. 15-3 Stamps.
Yeah. See that big box? Inside those white lines? It's called the end zone. My neighborhood. Let's go, baby. Gotta get this win.
Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. A little harsh entry into the neighborhood this time, but he's visited it 11 times in 2015. 10 in the regular season, now once in the postseason. I'm sure a shout out to his mom, Carrie, who is. They do a little cussing back and forth. His mom's his biggest critic.
Make sure you guys wear them out.
Yeah, a little trash talk. Mom likes, when she knows he's okay, she likes to see him take the on hit every now and then. Tells him you needed that.
Down in Southern California, now rainy. Being swarmed by black and red jerseys. Penalty flag near the 28-yard line. So now It really is up to the BC Lions to have some sort of response ever since.
During the return, illegal block, BC number 41. 10-yard penalty, first down BC.
Ever since that overturned challenge call at the goal line, the field has been lopsided in favor of the Calgary Stampeders.
Yeah, and it really seems like a spark and emotional lift came for the Calgary Stampeders offense when Keon Raymond provided some points for them. Mike Benavides mentioned from the sidelines that even the energy on the Stamp sideline prior to that seemed a little bit flat, but obviously perking up with the late first quarter score. You saw the way they responded with that drive to get the second quarter going.
Once again, starting at the 8-yard line, there's a direct snap to Harris, looking for a couple blocks, and he fumbled the football. And it's all going wrong right now for the BC Lions as Josh Bell has the rock. Another BC Lion giveaway and a Calgary takeaway.
And it goes back to the start of this football game. 7-11 Lions, the 14-4 Stampeders. The Lions absolutely have a chance, but they have to be relatively mistake-free. Couple of turnovers now in their own end of the field, and they find themselves in a little bit of trouble here early in the second quarter.
Lions have fumbled the ball a lot this season, second last in that department.
Make it special. Make it special. Oh my God. 2 turnovers and a 2-and-out in their last 3 possessions as the Stampeder momentum grows.
And early, almost 5 minutes into this second quarter, and again operating against the breeze. Instant field position near the 11. Hands it off to Messam, and they fumbled the football. And BC has it, but they're saying he was down. Cale Brooks has the football. There is a penalty flag after, because pretty sure it's because Brooks booted that ball. It's the offense football. Let's take a look to see if this indeed is a turnover. For the knee. There's the fumble. This indeed might be a turnover.
Just by a split second. The knees aren't touching down because he's on top of the defender, Jabbar Westerman. The ball
after the play, objectional contact, BC. The previous fumble turnover is currently under review by the command center.
Hand is down, but the ball is out.
Yeah, players' hands and feet touching the ground are fine. A player can use his hand for balance, so they don't count him as being down when his hand touches down.
Ball is out. And Brooks comes up with it. The review continues. We'll come back to McMahon Stadium.
Here we'll take what I think is probably the best look at this play. Keep a close eye on that left knee of Jerome Messam.
I think that was down.
I think that ball is out by just the narrowest of margins.
Well, both offenses were on the field there. Here's the official announcement.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. It was a fumble recovered by BC. We have objectional conduct, number 90, BC. Half the distance to goal, first down, BC.
The conduct penalty was because of the boot by Brooks, but a huge recovery. Still a long field here for the BC Lions, but almost necessary at this point in the game that they get that ball back.
Yeah, no question in terms of the way the momentum of this ball game was going.
There's been a bit of a rude start here for Jonathan Jennings and his team moving the football early on, but offense has now sputtered.
Jonathan Jennings again did, in terms of managing things, managing the clock, managing the wind, and so on. A very good job for him in this offense in the first quarter of this football game, but one costly error. The Keon Raymond interception. He tried to thread the ball into a tight window against a veteran defender. Raymond made him pay with a pick six.
Has not found any of his big weapons yet, Manny Arsenault. A throw from the end zone, and he's got a big arm deep downfield, and he overshot Hawkins. So Leone's going to come out here again, and keep in mind he does have a big foot capable of sailing 160, 70 yards. He'll have to do it here. He'll be punting from the end zone.
Yeah, at the very least, they need to try and swing this field position while they've got the wind at their backs. Jennings on that pass appeared to get locked in on that shot to Lavelle Hawkins.
For Sky Dawson out of TCU. Spent some time, and they're not even going to kick it out. They're going to give up 2. They'll give up the 2. Stamps will lead 17-3. Levi Mitchell. Another outstanding season for the 25-year-old from Katy, Texas. Stamps ball in a moment. Hall of Fame quarterback, offensive coordinator, head coach in waiting, Dave Dickinson on the sideline with more on the Stamps offense in this game. Let's go down to Mike Benavides.
That Stampeder offense really turned it around. They're going with targets, and they're going over and over to Messam, and there's no secret. It's going to Rogers over and over again. Those are the 2 target players, and the Stampeders are going to continue to do that. They don't take it away. But the Lions know that. They're talking about that right now over there on the sideline. They have to take those 2 guys away.
Levi Mitchell moves the pocket and overthrows Anthony Parker.
Mitchell's pass is incomplete for Anthony Parker.
Eric Rogers, without question, go-to guy. See where he ranks in various receiving categories.
He's a cool customer. Tall, lanky, great hands. Former track star as well, and a guy who had a shot with the Ottawa Red Blacks last year.
Yeah, signed first with the Red Blacks, attended rookie camp with them, was actually released, but has proven to be a tremendous fit here in Calgary. His breakout 2015 season.
2nd and 10, 3-man rush. Mitchell to Joe West along the near sideline. And this treasure chest of receivers for Bo Levi Mitchell, a 12-yard pickup.
Yeah, Joe West in, Jeff Fuller out this week. Something of a timing route going out to the wide side of that field. As Mitchell and West both recognizing coverage dropping off. Mitchell throws it outside. West breaking it off. First down for the Stamps.
Back to the near side of the field. And off to the Mack truck. Jerome Messam back down to Coach Benavides.
Guys, we were just talking about it, and that Lions defense was discussing it. They're leaning over there big time, and there's going to be some throws on the front side. The last couple of drives, you saw a bubble screen and a couple throws to the wide side of the field.
Great to have a coach on the sideline, isn't it? Seems like he wants to call those plays as well.
Well, Mike is a guy who knows these 2 teams very, very well, having worked with members of both of these coaching staffs along the way.
Matt Walter, former Calgary Dino. This is the back end of a doubleheader BC Calgary weekend. Yesterday, UBC and the Calgary Dinos playing in the CIS. Down to 4 in university football in Canada, and Thunderbirds knocked off the Dinos yesterday.
A big day in Canadian university football, all the conference championships, all the #1 seeds. The home teams all lost yesterday in the CIS playoffs.
UBC will take on St. FX. Guelph will play Montreal. Final 4 next weekend. Mitchell in the pocket. Quick hitter to Parker, another former Dino. And he carries a pile with him and never goes down. Anthony Parker, a former #3 overall pick. with a huge gain here. 22 yards, about 16 after the catch.
Well, keep an eye here on the right guard, former defensive tackle, Quinn Smith, doing a pretty nice job as he gets out in front. Takes Adam Bighill out of the play, allowing Anthony Parker to slip through.
Stamps having a lot of success here against the wind. Already a 2-touchdown lead. Play action again. Out of bounds. Wise beyond his years is Bo Levi Mitchell, and the lineage of quarterbacks in this city through the years. We were chatting with Wally Buono, GM of the Lions, before this game, who used to be here in Calgary and really kind of started that trend. They have had some outstanding ones, and Bo Levi Mitchell, when all is said and done, could become one of the greatest ever. He's just 25. Great game manager. There he is again for Messam. And a penalty flag just as he threw that football in the backfield.
Major foul, roughing the passer, BC number 53.
Alex
15-yard penalty,
Bazzi too
automatic
close to
first
Bo
down.
Mitchell. Roughing the passer.
Bazzi is going to come from his defensive end position and arriving just a little bit late with the contact on the quarterback.
Got him right in the head as well.
The hands to the head.
Canadian receiver Lamar Durant played at Simon Fraser. Second-round pick in the 2015 draft is the injured Stampeder.
Durant with a couple of touchdowns last weekend in his homecoming going back to the West Coast. BC plays for that season finale. Now you're seeing the Stamps Canadian depth get tested a little bit in this football game, as we've seen Quinn Smith, converted defensive lineman, forced to play already on the offensive line as they lose an all-star in Pierre Lavertu. And now Lamar Durant goes down. They don't have another Canadian receiver dressed. The fullback, Rob Cote, would have to play some reps at slot back in order for them to preserve the ratio.
Cote is coming in with an injury update. Here's Farhan on the sideline.
Guys, we've been talking about Pierre Lavertu. He will not return. He's on the sideline right now in street clothes, actually playing coach. They're calling it an upper hamstring injury, so he's done for the night. As for the Lions, we saw Alex Hoffman-Ellis and backup offensive lineman Cam Thorne getting carted off. They're concerned about a possible fractured fibula for Ellis. He was putting weight on it and walking a little bit, but they are going to get him x-rayed right now. As for Thorne, a possible broken hand or finger on his right hand, so not looking good for either of those two as well. That means a bigger role for Boseko Lacombo, who will now play full-time defense, assuming Hoffman-Ellis doesn't return.
Well, and that's something that'll impact the BC Lions on special teams, as Lacombo, very capable of playing linebacker, a guy who really had a terrific 2015 season and played a lot of snaps, but he's a key special teamer for them.
Third red zone trip. Jerome Messam looking end zone. He's got it. Touchdown.
He's a bad man.
Jerome Messam, the Brampton Beast, 15-yard touchdown.
Jerome Messam puts the full skill set on display here. He's now up to 8 carries for 52 yards in this ball game. Little bit of burst, runs through a couple arm tackles there. You see the move in space, and touchdown.
An end zone bow as well. Right now, the Calgary Stampeders laying a stomping on the BC Lions.
I told you I was going to show you something.
4.5 to go. First half. Point after, they decide to go for the single this time. Rene Paredes.
Sylvia, we're praying for you. I love you. Stay strong.
24 straight Calgary points.
And how about the work being done, not just by Jerome Messam, but by this makeshift offensive line. Spencer Wilson, if anybody questioned why this guy is the Stamps nominee for most outstanding lineman, he now this season has played all 5 positions along that offensive line, stepping into play center here in a playoff game, doing a terrific job.
Keon Raymond started all of this with that pick 6. Eric Rogers getting to the end zone. Now Jerome Messam, and again, Jeff Tedford up against it with his BC Lions coming in as the severe underdogs in this game. Got off to a pretty solid start. Looked like they were going to score a touchdown. DPI that was overturned. Next thing you know, it's 24-3. They need a spark in a big way. Rainey runs into his own teammates. Downfield quickly. Bandy Aguilar, the former McMaster Marauder. So Jonathan Jennings trying to ignite something here.
Well, Jonathan Jennings is a guy who has always had an affinity for the long ball. Well, they may be playing right into the hands of Rich Stubler here, as Andrew Harris potentially becomes less of a factor as they try to make up this 3-score deficit.
Their longest completion so far, 24 yards. On the roll, Sean Gore stretches forward and looks like he's going to get the first down.
A nice effort by Gore after the catch to move the sticks here. Just sheer will fighting through a couple of Stampeder tacklers. Like the play call from BC, moving the pocket. They get Andrew Harris out in front to help set the edge for Jonathan Jennings.
Lions first down in the second quarter, late second quarter as we get close to the 3-minute warning. The other number 33, Andrew Harris, has 3 or 4 yards. Juwan Simpson in the middle.
It's fascinating to see Andrew Harris and Jerome Messam doing battle here at this stage of their careers in a big playoff game, as the careers have always been somewhat intertwined. Part of the reason the BC Lions were able to go with a Canadian starter at running back was because they had some depth at the position. The time when Andrew Harris was breaking in, Jerome Messam was a BC Lion. A couple of great non-drafted finds by the BC Lions done in their Canadian scouting at that time.
Jennings will air it out, 3-man rush. Uh-oh, look out, down he goes. Jonathan Jennings ran right into that sack from Frank Beltre, who's filling in at rush end for the injured Charleston Hughes.
Yeah, and Beltre got the edge on Tommy Draheim there, got underneath him as Jennings tried to scramble. There he was.
3-minute warning before halftime, and right now it's all Calgary. Laying a licking on the BC Lions.
Hi again, Rod Smith and our playoff panel getting set for Live at the Half, 3 minutes away. Stampeders started slowly, but they demonstrated again how quickly they can turn it around. Plus, we'll have highlights of the Ticats' victory over the Argos on the last play of the game coming up at the half.
All right, men, we look forward to that. Richie Leone gives his helmet a shake here, needs a big kick. 2:38 and counting. Only 1 point has been scored with the wind. Offensively, the pick 6, of course. There's John Cornish.
Beauty run by Messam. Hey, you gotta give love. We said the safety is coming down. You know, he wasn't going to make that tackle on Messam. It was an awesome play.
Friendly competition going on between Cornish and Messam. John Cornish has been one of the greatest Canadian backs ever. And Jerome Messam up there, Andrew Harris up there.
I mean, to have these 3 guys in the same building at the same time. As you look at the best rushing seasons by Canadians, John Cornish, 2013, a year in which he was both the league's MOP and most outstanding Canadian.
Here he is again. Boy, Boy, what an interesting predicament when you think about it. For the Calgary Stampeders, though, John Cornish, who went out with injury, a broken thumb early in the season, came back into the lineup and then had the concussion. And they went out and got Jerome Messam as a trade deadline acquisition from the Saskatchewan Roughriders. This could turn out to be one of the most brilliant deals ever for the Calgary Stampeders if it plays out the way they dream it plays out.
Yeah, Jerome Messam acquired in exchange for rookie kicker Tyler Krapina.
Stats roll like that, though. We have a guy go down, somebody else steps up.
Well, John Cornish giving us our sideline analysis because there is another Calgary Stampeder down.
You never want to see guys go down, but
they can't afford to have an O-lineman down, though. Again, they only dressed 6. Pierre Lavertu is already out.
Looks like it's Bergman. Left guard Shane Bergman. We already saw BC Lions, which I have not seen before, have 2 players carted off on the same cart. We've had a lot of injuries in this first half. Bergman looks like he's getting up. Let's go down to Farhan Lalji once again.
Yeah, guys, it looks like Junior Turner is going in. As Dwayne mentioned, they only dressed 6 offensive linemen with Quinn Smith already in the game and Bergman now injured, and it doesn't look good for him. Turner, who has had some O-line experience earlier this year, early in the season when they went through all the offensive line problems, he's changed jersey numbers. 69 is what he's wearing now, and he looks like he's into the game playing O-line for Calgary.
He's going to rely on his teammates a lot here to communicate his assignments and calls with him. Junior Turner, the Stamps nominee for most outstanding Canadian this season as a defensive tackle. Second defensive tackle. It used to be he and Quinn Smith, the 2 D tackles on the depth chart for Calgary at the start of the season. Well, now they're both playing guard.
Better be versatile. One of the things about the Stampeders, the reason they are the defending Grey Cup champions, long been talked about. Terrific job they've done with depth, particularly Canadian depth, but it is being tested this season to its limit. So many injuries, and John Cornish even talked about it on the sideline. Once one player goes down, another steps up. But this is ridiculous.
Yeah, well, you see offensive line coach Pat Delmonico pacing on the sidelines. He's a man who's going to earn his money today.
Does he have any shoulder pads? My goodness. 24-3 is the score. We'll try to get another update from Farhan on status of Shane Bergman. But for now, Junior Turner is in. Quinn Smith is in. A couple of defensive players playing on the O-line.
Yeah, and again, as we mentioned for BC with Lacumbo playing D and affecting their special teams, this affects the Stamps' depth and rotation now on the defensive line with Turner flipping over.
We'll hand it off again to Messam. Bazzi comes up and makes the initial tackle and helped out there by Jabbar Westerman. And we'll see in this final 2 minutes if the BC Lions can get any kind of traction here. Got off to a pretty good start offensively, got it down to the goal line, and then a call was reversed. Got a field goal out of that, and then a pick 6 by Jonathan Jennings, and since that time it's been all Calgary. There's Chris Rainey. Rob Maver against the breeze. End over end, low line drive kick. Rainey's so dangerous. Corralled right there at his 30-yard line, and look at this. Travis Lule is off the sideline and coming into this ball game.
And we'll try to get an update on the status of Jonathan Jennings, but Lule, the veteran, 2011 CFL MOP, the man who started this season under center for the BC Lions.
This might be injury related to Jonathan Jennings on this play.
Yeah, the sack by Beltre drove Jennings' shoulder into the turf. See trainer Billy Rochelle checking that shoulder and collarbone area on the sidelines.
So Travis Lule works the 90-second offense here. Comes out throwing, and there's an interference call here. Downfield quickly, they go for Hawkins. And Brandon McDonald in coverage. This will move the ball.
Pass interference, Calgary, number 31. Ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. First down.
To the 49-yard line. It's a 31-yard call.
And it's matchup that starts out wide to the right side of the field. Lavelle Hawkins works his way to the middle. He's got that body position on McDonald. Nice job to reach across, but a little bit of body contact there. Draws the flag.
Lulay again. Empties it out. Chucks it over the top, and it was almost picked off. And remember what's happened with Travis Lulay the last couple of seasons. He had his throwing shoulder basically reconstructed, came back this season, and then for a few games was in the lineup, then out of the lineup with a knee injury. And he's been in the playoffs before. He's been there, done that, won that.
Grey Cup champion in that remarkable 2011 season, a season that the Lions have talked about this year as a team that went through adversity early, but pulled it together as the season went on. Hoping to capture some of that magic here in 2015.
Wouldn't that be something if Lulay can reconjure some of that? He's got time now, slings it, and the first catch made by Manny Arsenault in this game. There is a penalty flag on the far sideline.
Offside, Calgary number 95. Penalties declined. First down.
So Travis Lulay comes out throwing. Has the ball down to the 26-yard line. Jonathan Jennings still in pain on that sideline. Looks like his shoulder. Looks like it's Travis Lulay's show now. That's batted down by Duron Mayo. Let's go down to the sideline once again. Here's Farhan.
Yeah, guys, it looks like the collarbone area on the left shoulder of Jonathan Jennings. You mentioned the sack earlier where his shoulder got driven into the ground. They're going to x-ray him at halftime. Again, it's his non-throwing shoulder, but doesn't look good right now. He's not moving it at all. He's walking very gingerly. A very dejected Jonathan Jennings right now as he watches Travis Lulay try to rally the troops back.
Well, if they can get a score here before halftime, it becomes a very different game at half, heading to that second half. Second down and 10. Here's the heat. Lulay throwing. Goes deep and short of his intended target. Lulay was dusted as he threw that football.
Well, the oncoming blitz is what leads to the short throw here as Travis Lulay is in full back pedal as he has to launch this one. It's his only option to try and buy time as you'll see the oncoming defenders here.
So the best the Lions will do is a field goal with the breeze from Richie Leone. He struggled down the stretch, particularly in this area on point afters. This is for 3, though. This is from the 33. Hold, the kick is up, and it is through. And the second field goal from Richie Leone today makes it a 24-6 game right now with 47 to go before halftime. They're working on Jonathan Jennings. Let's go down to the coach once again.
Guys, it was like opening the tap right away. As soon as Travis Lulay went in, the Stampeder defense changed its way of approaching it. It was zero blitz. It was pressure, pressure, pressure. With Travis there, they're going to pressure him against the young Jennings. They wanted the 4-man rush to keep him clean.
Well, this is one of the things we saw during the regular season, an adjustment many teams made against Jonathan Jennings, where conventional wisdom suggests against a young quarterback you want to throw heat at him, but what teams are starting to do against these young guys is drop a lot of defenders, confuse them with coverage, and force them to make those tough throws. But against Travis Lulay, the veteran, that all shifts.
Keep it on the turf here. Jerome Messam, one of the scores here in the first half. All began with Keon Raymond and the interception for a touchdown. Then later Eric Rogers and then Messam. Lions yet to record a touchdown, and they're going to need a huge turnaround in the second half. And it's not going to come easy against a team. We talked about their starts. Calgary Stampeders are defending Grey Cup champions for a reason. They know how to finish.
That's exactly it, and they managed to weather that rough start and actually came out of it with a lead courtesy of their defense.
Having more success against the wind than with the wind, and that was up for grabs, looking for Durant, who was back in the ballgame after being nicked up earlier.
Durant, second-round pick out of Simon Fraser, unable to come up with that one.
15 seconds remains. Maver will come out.
Lions will go with 2 returners deep, incomplete pass. stop the clock and maybe create an opportunity for Chris Rainey here.
Well, he's done it to the Stamps before, twice in one game, as a matter of fact. Maver lets it fly. Rainey on the fly, and there will be one more play before halftime. 7 seconds to go, and Travis Lulay looks like he will be the man moving forward here for the BC Lions.
Yeah, not sure whether they'll just nail it down and get to the dressing room safely here at halftime, but just to finish that earlier thought from Coach Benny down below regarding the pressure on Travis Lulay and why you're pressuring a veteran. They know if they sit back against Travis Lulay and give him time to decipher what's going on, a veteran guy like him is going to pick them apart. So they can't afford to do that against him. They're going to send a little bit more heat, force him to get the ball out of his hands a little earlier.
They will take the knee, head into the locker room, try to patch themselves up here and come up with a game plan, some adjustments for the second half. Not a bad start for the Lions in this one, but soon after, the defending Grey Cup champions turned it up and turned it on. Stamps are 10-1 when leading at halftime this season. Jeff Tedford work to do for the Lions. 24-6, we're at the half in Calgary in the Western semifinal. Back to Rod Smith and the guys in the studio.
Thank you, Rod. Well, this is one of those games where the scoreboard and the stats don't necessarily jive. I mean, you look at the board and you're thinking Calgary's just destroying them. Not necessarily so here. There's the panel of Jock Climbey, Matt Dunnigan, Milt Stegall, and Chris Schultz. And I say this because the Stampeders were pretty slow out of the gate, kind of sleepy almost, and then they had the pick six that really started to turn things around, Matty. But, I mean, hey, 18 points. I mean, BC could come back in this game.
Absolutely, particularly with what we see late in that second quarter there with Jonathan Jennings going out and Travis Lulay coming in. Maybe Travis is the spark that this football needs, because I think both teams were very lethargic in the first half, and particularly the Calgary Stampeders at 14-4. They had 13 total yards after the first quarter. To me, this is one of those situations where Bo Levi Mitchell finally dialed in, going into the wind, and he throws a dart. Not many quarterbacks can do this. This is a small window. Watch it. You're right in his lap. That's a tight window. He sticks it in there to the touchdown machine. Rodgers. And then here, one of my favorites in the league right here, Juwan Simpson is going sideline to sideline, forcing the fumble on Andrew Harris. And that actually cost the BC Lions 2 points, because the next series, they get the ball back and concede 2. So, Milt, to me, this is a football game that's still wide open, only an 18-point game. Somehow Calgary's found a way to get themselves out in front there, really not playing their best football.
Well, a big reason why they were able to get out front, and basically the floodgates opened up after this play by Keon Raymond, a great interception. But there was a play before that where Brandon McDonald had an opportunity to make an interception. And there's a saying that goes, fool me one time, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. Well, Brandon McDonald didn't make this play, but Keon Raymond surely did. And these guys are more than great athletes. They're well coached. Defensive coordinator Rick Stubler really puts these guys in great positions to make plays. And Brandon McDonald not only makes interceptions, he causes them to be touchdowns. Great play, great coaching, great job by these Calgary Stampeders defensive backs.
Yeah, and I just wanted to have a closer look at that interception, you know, because they talk in football all the time about it being a game of split seconds. Not seconds, split seconds. And it's a game of inches. And Jonathan Jennings, as a young quarterback, is learning exactly what that means. You might get away with this throw in college. You're not getting away with this throw in the pros. And here, this is an example. He's throwing the quick out. That means the ball is going to be delivered on time. If the ball is delivered with this kind of timing, it's a completion. It's a tad late, and look at the ball. The ball is just, it needs to be a little bit outside. I mean, we're talking 6 inches outside. It's not only not an interception for a touchdown, he's actually completing the football. So it is a game of inches, it's a game of split seconds, and the BC Lions, it cost them a touchdown.
And it's a game that's not over yet, because in the first quarter, you saw the BC Lions execute at a high level. I thought they were going to dominate early in the game. They ran the ball effectively. They had some good pass protection moments. And you really saw when you get the offensive line playing well, when it's playing up to their standards and the quarterback is confident, steps up, and you see right down, there goes to the receiver. It looks good. And then in the run game, you see Andrew Harris here into the interior. over to the perimeter, and you saw those type of plays early, but then the mistakes for the BC Lions will be interesting how they approach the second half. I would go with Travis Lulay. I think he has the experience. I think he has the confidence. And the truth is, it'll give him a chance to show what he can do because they got to make some decisions on the quarterback scenarios with the BC Lions. I'd be surprised if Travis didn't play in the second half.
If these Lions can score some points, they have a good chance because I think the Stampeders offensively, they're limited right now because they have 2 defensive linemen on the offensive line.
We should frankly just be talking about that because I can't ever remember a time where I've seen that. What can you do offensively? Can you throw the ball? Can you run the ball? You try to throw the ball with 2 D linemen, don't know what they're doing. You can risk your quarterback getting hurt. And if you run the ball, you have no idea what you're doing with the blocking scheme.
So the BC Lions, they have a chance. They have a chance.
This is not uncharted territory for the Calgary Stampeders. They've been there before. Pat Delmonico, offensive line coach, and Dave Dickinson. If anybody can do it, those 2 guys can do it.
I can remember a similar conversation back in week 3 against the Argos. They lost 2 of their starting O-linemen. They were behind Toronto. Somehow they found a way to come back and win that game. The Stampeders always seem to find a way. Well, they're up by 18 now, but don't write off the Lions just yet. We're at the half. We'll be back. On the scoreboard, it suggests Calgary is thoroughly dominating, but Matty, the stats say otherwise.
That's right, they do. You know, you look at 119 total yards for BC and 6 points, that kind of adds up. 137 total yards for Calgary and 24 points, that doesn't add up. You say, what's going on here? Well, I can tell you this. It is that time of year. Defense wins championships, and defenses so far today have been the name of the game.
Yeah, Bo Levi Mitchell just 7 for 16 for 74 yards. Here he is with Farhan Lalji.
Bo, talk about what it felt like going into the second quarter of this game. You guys hadn't done a lot offensively, but you still had the lead.
No, absolutely. I mean, sure you saw special team defense give us heck of field positions, you know, especially down there low, and we got them, you know, within the 10, 15-yard line to go down there and score. I mean, that's the biggest thing. You know, right now we're playing team football. You know, we had some injuries on the O-line, so we got some D-linemen playing there. So it'll be interesting. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, how do you approach the second half with Quinn Smith and Junior Turner protecting you? You've had it before in the first part of the season.
We've never had 2 D-linemen. Yeah. Oh, man, but man, just put it on my shoulders. You know, just talk to the receivers, let those guys know. You know, we got to go out there and we got to make it happen for ourselves.
Thanks, Bo.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, they're up, but you sense their test is certainly not over yet. Hey, we're going to have highlights of the Eastern semi earlier. The Ticats down to the final play against the Argos for the right to move on to Ottawa. CFL Live at the half, 24-6 Stampeders. Earlier today at Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton, Jeremiah Mazzoli with only his second ever CFL start up against the veteran Ricky Ray. The Argos 0-4 at Tim Hortons Field, though. Down 6-3 in the second. Ray airing it out for Phil Bates. Brandon Stewart is flagged for interference, so a big gain, 32 yards on that call. And there would be another interference call on that drive, putting the Argos at the 1. Brandon Whitaker and bangs his way into the end zone, and the single-point conversion would be good. So the Argos leading at 10-6 at the half. And they would lead for a while. Third quarter, Mazzoli had been struggling, had only 26 yards passing. In the first half, he's picked off by Akwasi Owusu-Ansah, and he would be benched in favor of Ja'Cory Harris. It seemed to help. Ticats 3rd and 1. Harris, though, here, another turnover on downs for Kent Austin and company. But Mazzoli comes back and looks different. Finds a wide-open Bakari Grant after Owusu-Ansah slipped and fell. 42-yard touchdown. Don't count the Cats out yet. 19-15 in the fourth. And a big play coming up here by running back C.J. Gable. Busted up the middle. 17-yard gain. And a couple of plays later, it is Mazzoli. Great second effort to knife his way into the end zone. Hamilton has the lead, 22-19. Now, the Argos would tie it. Last play of the game coming up here from 47 yards away. Justin Metlock. Far enough, and it is good enough. Ticats win. Mazzoli spoke positively about being benched.
I think it was just me being able to see from the sideline what the defense was doing. I just used it to my advantage, and you know, we're a complete team here. You know, everybody's ready to play, and we were just there for each other.
So the Ticats move on to Ottawa next week for the Eastern Final, which leads us to our GM Sierra coach's playbook. Supposed to be with Paul Lapolis, although this was the scene at Tim Hortons Field at the end of the game. Look at Lapo run! Run, Lapo, run! You got to make it back to the studio to help me out here. And yes, he's just chugging along. As you can see, he's going as fast as he can, which should still be faster than me, by the way. However, back at it. All right, Coach. And what do you got here? You got your chips, you got your drink? Okay.
I got to stay hydrated.
Well, absolutely. You've been working really hard today, making the trip. We appreciate you coming in, and you saw the game firsthand. Just your thoughts on what happened in just such a close game between the Argos and Ticats.
When you win the coin toss, it's crucial in a win situation, and you knew the Ticats, had a great opportunity to win the game. As a head coach, you need to teach the third quarter is so important, and I thought that's what the Ticats did when they were into the win. The Argos got the win. What do? They try to take a shot. You get a takeaway. What's the big deal of that? You don't get to punt with the wind at your back. Brandon Banks, he gets a huge return to flip the field and make sure the Ticats are on a short field. They don't get points there, but again, they force the Argos deep. And then 2 straight 2-and-outs by the Ticats defense held, and then the Ticats go on a 6-play, 87-play drive, and this was a 3-minute drive, and that's real important for what happens at the other end of the field. They steal 7 points into the wind, which is huge, and then because of that long drive, the Argos go down, drive the length of the field. They go to be in a field goal situation, Rod, but that field goal happened in the first play of the fourth quarter, so the field position had changed, and they had to kick the field goal into the wind. You saw them miss that 48.
Yeah, the Argos had a roughing the passer call that helped set up that field goal, and they wonder what might have been their season done. And the Ticats back to Ottawa to face the team that has been their nemesis the last couple of weeks of the regular season. By the way, Milt told me that even though you earned this, Milt doesn't want you to have these.
Sorry, Milt.
Doesn't want me to have them either. And no, I didn't even do any running. So BC Lions, well, they got some work to do. They're down by 18 points to the Stampeders, and Calgary certainly feels it could be playing a better game. Second half kickoff coming up.
Back at McMahon, second half underway in the Western semifinal. Stamps pour on the points. Injuries pile up, and Travis Lulay goes from the sideline into the fire. He's with Farhan Lalji.
Travis, throughout this process, you've always prepared like you were going to be the starter. Here you are, the ball's in your hands. What's your mindset going into the second half?
We're down 3 scores, so we can't get it back in one play. We got to do it one play, one drive, one series at a time. Attack down the field, be confident, and go out there and have fun.
What they showed once you got into the game in that last series was they're going to pressure you a lot. How do you deal with it?
Yeah, that's their thing. You get in the red zone, a lot of times you might see pressure. We got a second down look in the red zone. We got pressure. No surprise there. Took a shot in the end zone. Didn't quite get it there, but that could happen. We'll see if their game plan changes any at all, but it's really about us, what we're doing, one play at a time.
How bad do you feel for Jonathan? You've been there.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a terrible feeling. You work so hard, and you hate to see it happen in a situation like this. I feel for my guy first and foremost. Care about that kid a lot. So it's disappointing. I'm going to go out and play my tail off.
Thanks for this.
Thank you.
Well, Jeff Tadford been down this road before with quarterbacks. Now Jonathan Jennings clearly out of this ball game. It appeared to be a shoulder injury, clavicle injury.
The silver lining as you lose your prized rookie quarterback is that you've got this guy coming off the bench, a proven starter, a warrior, a guy who's been through the playoff battles before. Would not want the ball in anyone else's hands than Travis Lulay's.
So second half, BC, after winning the coin flip at the beginning of the game, decide to take the ball and the wind here in the third quarter. They'll need to make some hay in a hurry. Penalty flag on this return. Here comes Travis Lulay.
That'll be interesting.
During the return, holding BC number 94. 10-yard penalty, first down.
As you mentioned the sense of urgency for the Lions with this wind at their back to see what kind of pace they go with, to see if they can get as many plays as possible here with the wind in the third quarter. You look at the team leaders through the first half of this ball game, relatively quiet offensively. Jennings, of course, injured. Andrew Harris productive on the ground. Manny Arsenault, one of the hottest receivers in the Canadian Football League down the stretch. Only one catch in the ball game, that a 23-yard reception from Travis Lulay.
So Lulay, who led the Lions to the Grey Cup back in 2011, will hand it off to Andrew Harris. Good run here from Harris. Up the gut he goes for a first down and some more. The issue for the Lions in the first half was also their starting point, which was not good at all. Field position was an issue, and that's why they're down 18.
One of the hopes for the BC Lions coming into this football game was that they might be able to win that field position battle, maybe make up for any struggles their offense might have with the punting of Richie Leone and the return game of Chris Rainey. Rainey held largely in check through the opening 30.
First and 10, BC from their 24. Time now for Lule, sideline, and it's Hawkins snaring it there at the BC bench, just past the first down marker. 13-yard pickup for Lavelle Hawkins.
Well, Hawkins, outside man, and that's set out to the field. Matched up against Brandon McDonald much of this ball game.
Once again, they'll hand it off to Harris on first down. So throwing down now, 2nd down and 7 for Lule, the 32-year-old. Montana State knows what it's like to be down the depth chart. Was for the BC Lions. A star was born a few years ago, got a chance to play and took hold. And then, of course, injuries crept in. Now he's back in. Pressure on. 2nd and 7. Stamp show 3. They're going to rush 5. Lule. A big toss here, and again with the wind. An overthrow for Manny Arsenault, and they'll have to boot it.
Well, their signals got crossed as Lule thought that Arsenault was going to keep going, and Arsenault looked as if he might have thought that his quarterback was in a little bit of trouble here. So he's deep downfield, but then he looked like he was trying to work back at right about the time Lule set. And there you saw that little stutter. He wasn't sure what was going to happen, if he was going to need to work back to his QB, just as Lule launched the ball.
Leone is going to launch now. Thundering, towering kick down near the 20 to Sky Dawson. 52-yard boot. Levi Mitchell and Jerome Messam. Their offense back on the field, and 2 defensive players now on their O-line. How will they hold up? Jerome Messam, big score in the first half. Stamps lead 24-6. Well, the Eastern Final is set. The Shaw Road to the Grey Cup continues next Sunday. Eastern Final. Tiger Cats, Red Blacks, Hamilton, Ottawa, noon Eastern. Looking to determine who will play Edmonton in the West Final next week. Calgary, the foot up right now, 18-point lead. Will Mitchell. O-line that's been shredded by injury. Play action. Goes throwing. Has his man. It is caught. What a game for Anthony Parker so far.
A perfectly thrown strike there from Bo Levi Mitchell. Maybe coming back as there's a flag down, but a nice route down the sideline, corner route by Parker. Dropped in perfectly, feet in bounds.
Looks like
Legal
it might come back.
Blocking downfield, Calgary, number 85. 10-yard penalty, repeat, first down.
So take that away. That would have made Parker the leading receiver for the Stampeders. Anthony Parker, who knows his stadium well, played at the University of Calgary with the Dinos, before becoming a first-round pick by the Stampeders.
And if you watch for Joe West, he's going to appear on the opposite side of the formation. And in too early with a block, even though it's not affecting the play.
Mitchell again, over the top. Oh, Eric Rogers made a great catch.
An outstanding effort by Eric Rogers to go and get this football.
Well, a loss of 43 net plus the penalty, and then they get it all back in one fell swoop. Eric Rogers, who scored already a touchdown, CFL's leading receiver, one for the highlight reel.
Well, the faith that Bo Levi Mitchell has in Eric Rogers to go out and make tough catches for him. This is a trust built over the course of a season.
Well, Bo Levi Mitchell knows that he has one of the best weapons beside him with the Calgary Stampeders.
He's one of the scariest athletes I've played with because he can get you in trouble as a quarterback, but he can also make you look really, really good. And he does that a lot for me. And when I say he can get you in trouble, it's because it's really hard not to give him the ball every single play. You know, it's hard to say that if there's one guy on him, that doesn't mean that he's open. You know, there's not many DBs in this league that I'm going to sit there and say I'm not going to take him one-on-one against him every single time.
As you saw with the last play, Eric Rogers has consistently rewarded the faith of his quarterback this season.
Well, the neighborhood has been expansive this year, has it not?
And there you see one of the best big play receivers in the Canadian Football League, leading the league with 13 receptions this season of 30-plus yards.
33 on his last reception. Let's take another look at another 30-plus effort from Eric Rogers.
It's just one season, but when you talk about Eric Rogers and people start making comparisons to a guy like Alan Pitts, it speaks volumes about the potential they see in this young man.
Second down and 9, BC territory. Good protection. Mitchell slinging again in traffic. And that looked like an interference call. That was mauling. Eric Rogers. Stephen Clark swatted a paw at Rogers way before the ball was even close.
Defensive pass interference, BC number 29. Ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. First down, Calgary.
And a great example of what we just heard Bo Levi Mitchell talking about with regard to Eric Rogers. You see a matchup. He may not appear to be wide open, but you have a belief that number 80 is somehow going to come down with the football, so you throw a shot that, you know, judging by the reads, that's not the ball that you're necessarily going to throw. But something good comes out of it for Calgary.
Another trip to the red zone. High snap. Remember, new center with Spencer Wilson in there with Pierre Lavertu out, and there was an effect of that. That snap was way over the head of Bo Levi Mitchell. A loss on the play of 18 yards.
Yeah, I remember coming into this football game, we talked about Spencer Wilson as a guy who had played 4 positions on the O-line, everywhere but center. And sure enough, here in the West semifinal, he gets pressed into snapping duty. No surprise that the odd one might get away. Calgary native, plucked from the Calgary Colts junior program. He actually spent a year at Saginaw Valley.
Second and 28. They decide to keep it on the turf, and Jerome Messam finally goes down. 5-yard pickup, so that high snap will cost a shot at the end zone again for the Stampeders, who will bring out Rene Paredes.
Paredes named the top special teams player in the West Division for what's been a great bounce back season for him, hitting a number of clutch kicks.
Well, increased his percentage by almost 15% this season. Off year last year after being the most outstanding special teams player 2 seasons ago.
Not bad for a guy who got passed over in the draft.
Yes, Venezuelan-born kicker. Up, and this one is good. See the background. Chris Rainey thought it wasn't good. Official signals it is a field goal. This is so close. It is 3 points and a 27-6 lead. Back at McMahon Stadium. Stamps fans enjoying this so far. Their team leads 27-6. Travis Lulay in relief of Jonathan Jennings. Like a busted up collarbone out of the ball game. Midway through the third quarter, Lulay comes out gunning, looking for Austin Cauley. That's the first time they've targeted him today. Incomplete pass. Jonathan Jennings started this game, will not finish. Here's Farhan.
Guys, Jonathan Jennings obviously out. He has not been x-rayed yet. They'll likely wait to get back to Vancouver before doing that. I asked him, what do you think? He's like, I think it's broken. As for the other Lions, Alex Hoffman-Ellis, they did x-ray him. It is not a broken ankle, just a bad sprain, so good news there. Cam Thorne, not a broken hand, so he is now back and available. And Mikhail Brooks was the latest who was being examined for an injured wrist. He's been dealing with that all season. They're retaping it up, and he should go back in as well in the next series.
Thank you, Dr. Lalji. Lule. Little pump fake there, and he's dragged down. Ron Mayo brought down the Lions quarterback.
Well, BC Lions are trying to create a rub to get Andrew Harris open here. He's going to come around. You're going to see a receiver come from the opposite direction to try and pick off the defender. But the pressure gets to Travis Lule too quickly. See Arsenault come across the formation with the rub, but Harris can't get there. Mayo gets to Lule first for the stop.
Leone again. The busiest Lion today. Big kick. Dawson. 50 yards. Jason Araki was there. What a day for this guy. What a season for Eric Rogers. All-star. Outstanding year and another touchdown. Doing in the playoffs what he did in the regular season in his neighborhood. Time to look back at our sack tally, brought to you by Purelator. Tackling hunger, a promise we can all help deliver. To the chagrin of quarterbacks around the nation, these are the numbers they posted during the regular season. Stampeders top 3, BC top 5. That big number is all the pounds of food that went to help feed those in need. Bo Mitchell, that O-line that has been patched together by duct tape in this game. Markway McDaniel's first catch right at the midfield stripe. Actually, McDaniel's second catch had one for -1 earlier.
Markway McDaniel, the topic of much discussion this week, a guy who, quite frankly, probably is deserving of being a West Division All-Star, was overlooked. A guy who does it all for the Calgary Stampeders offensively, whether blocking and protections, blocking downfield, catching big passes. Key guy.
Great soft hands, 1,000-yard season for Markway McDaniel. Mr. Reliable, Mr. Dependable. So it'll be third down here. Looks like about 1.5 yards, almost 2 yards. And Calgary is going to bring out Rob Maver and the punt team.
Calgary's done a nice job covering these punts into the wind, watching Rob Maver both in warm-up and he's continued in the game. Try not to be too affected by the wind in terms of distance. There have been some low driving punts where you can sometimes be at risk of out-kicking your coverage. But Stamps have done a good job getting down there and containing Chris Rainey.
Leone being out-kicked by Maver, an all-star punter in the past. Guelph Griffin. This is a good kick. Rainey pinned inside the 10-yard line. You called it, Dwayne Ford.
Well, perfectly placed punt there by Rob Maver. This is why this guy was a first-round pick back in 2010.
Looks like another player down.
And this is starting corner Ronnie Yell.
And right over the back of his legs to Rob Kotag on top of Rainey. Listen to Farhan Lalji on the sidelines. Those injury reports take a couple minutes every time. There have been so many players nicked up, banged up in this one. Yell being attended to, and we'll step aside and come back to McMahon Stadium in the Western semifinal. Injury list grows. We'll get an update on Ronnie Yell. Looks like he's okay. Got rolled up on that return. Now the question is, can the BC Lions mount any kind of offense here?
Well, it's just been an uphill battle. This is the 5th time in this ball game the Lions have started a possession inside their own 10-yard line, largely due to the great placement of punts by Rob Maver.
Maver's done an outstanding job. He was not named the Western Division All-Star punter. Leone was, and he's out-kicking Leone today as Andrew Harris is swallowed up. Freddie Bishop with the tackle.
A run play there, but you're starting to see a little bit of desperation from the BC Lions offensively, trying to push the ball down the field. Manny Arsenault has been their go-to guy this season, particularly down the stretch. 43 of those 76 catches coming in the last 7 weeks of the season. Just one catch for him in this ball game.
23 yards. The biggest reception they've had is 24. Lule tries to air it out, and he escapes and then goes down. And he's brought down in the backfield again is Beltre, and Travis Lule back to the sideline, back to the drawing board. And keep in mind, the Lions are operating with the wind in this third quarter, and right now they're not doing anything.
And Frank Beltre, he was the man who had the hit that took Jonathan Jennings out of this football game. Here again, supplying the heat on the Lions quarterback.
So Leone's in his end zone again. He took a safety earlier, not this time though. Too far behind right now, down to 3 touchdowns. 52-yard boot, Sky Dawson into BC territory. Was a flag on the play. BC might have come out a little early with their interior. We'll see what the call is here.
Discussion at the Stampeder bench as to whether or not to take the penalty, deciding what would be most beneficial. But
legally downfield on a kick. BC number 41. That penalty's declined. First down, Calgary.
After a pretty good return there from Sky Dawson, they'll take this field position.
And you have to stay in the interior of the line until the ball, 5 players until that ball is kicked. Offensively, the Lions have done nothing in this second half. Very little in the first. Now Bo Mitchell. Under 3 minutes to go here in the third quarter. Jerome Messam dropped by Adam Bighill. Let's go down to Coach Benavides once again.
Well, one of the biggest challenges right now, you got 2 defensive linemen playing guards for the Calgary Stampeders. That is a huge challenge. I'm going to look to see the Lions cover up those guards and really put them in one-on-one situations. I would expect to see that. You see a couple of miscues. The run game's kind of flat, but they are throwing it short, moving the pocket, giving those 2 guards a chance. So huge challenge. Let's see how they do.
And that's it, as Mike talks about, the covering those guys up, i.e. putting defenders, defensive tackles, right over top of the 2 guards to force them to block one-on-one without help from the center, try and create a mismatch and get some heat.
Out of the backfield's Messam, cut down by Bolacombo. Big play there. As Bo Mitchell threw it out to Messam, he was brought down by Bolacombo.
And here we'll take a look at Junior Turner, number 69, playing left guard. Working against Mikhail Brooks on that play. Bishop's product, Brampton native. Turner keeps him at the line of scrimmage.
The Stampeder defense has done a number here because Calgary's only scored 3 points here in this third quarter. That's their 6th 2-and-out in the ball game. And for the Lions, they just haven't been able to take advantage. They've had long fields. They've had their own problem moving the football. Maver's done a great job pinning this team. This one will go out of bounds for a point in the end zone. So make it 28-6 now. As Maver was trying to drill one right in that coffin corner inside the 5-yard line.
Well, he's done such a nice job for the Stampeders in this football game. Again, going back to the start, you talk about some of the keys to this ball game. Special teams, field position was a place where BC thought they might be able to get a bit of an edge if they could get some returns out of Chris Rainey and some big punts from the foot of Richie Leone. But Maver has essentially negated both in this ballgame.
They need to get this guy going, Lavelle Hawkins. They have to get Arsenault going, and Austin Cauley. Little hit screen, far side. There's Cauley. Austin Cauley, whose dad Scott played in the CFL, was a teammate with Jeff Tedford.
Yeah, the two were teammates with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. It was during that time that Austin Cauley was born in Hamilton, Ontario. Raised largely in California. Has that national status. Allowed him to join the BC Lions this season.
Has played with the Indianapolis Colts for many years, the New England Patriots as well. Quality receiver. Lulay, that one sails over the head of Arsenault. That might have been a byproduct of the win that time, but Lulay off target again. Third down again. And 16 seconds remain, and the Calgary Stampeders are going to have a healthy lead and the wind heading to the fourth. When they lead after 3 quarters in 2015, they are 12-1.
Well, it's often said that one of the keys to playing against a Rich Stubler defense is being patient, maintaining patience, that you'll be given some opportunities underneath. But where teams make mistakes is when they're trying to force the ball. BC's in a situation where they have to force the ball because of the score and because this is their last chance with the win. And you're seeing it's advantage Calgary throughout.
Big kick that time by Leone. That's the final play of the third quarter. So the Stamps 15 minutes away from heading north to Edmonton for the West Final next week. Battle between two 14-4s. Lions, huge mountain to climb here. Down 28-6 as we head to the fourth in the Western semifinal. Solid, not spectacular, but the Calgary Stampeders have thrown up 28 points in the BC Lions, who have been unable to get on track offensively. Jonathan Jennings out, Travis Lulay comes in, and now they're really up against it. John Hufnagel had a conversation with us, Dwayne, yesterday, talking about the season and how his team has been kind of overlooked, even though they're defending Grey Cup champions. 14-4, not shabby. Bo Mitchell's numbers not shabby. He said, you know, we may not be the prettiest girl at the dance, but our dance card is still pretty full.
Yeah, and it's so true. I mean, as a 14-4 football team, you would think that they command a certain amount of respect, but I think there are a couple of factors at play as people probably look at the Calgary Stampeders as having their depth tested more this year than they have in any other year, that people maybe see them as vulnerable. But the other issue is you talk about being the prettiest girl at the dance is that right now a lot of people see them as the second prettiest girl in Alberta, with the Edmonton Eskimos winning that season series, winning back-to-back games against Calgary, their last 2 meetings, and holding that first round bye.
Well, they know how to hold a lead as well, and you talk about depth being tested all season. Their depth is being tested today.
Yeah, well, no doubt about that. Obviously, the offensive line has been snake-bitten since really day one of this season. We spoke about the game earlier where both offensive tackles went down in almost immediate succession. That was the first time this year that Quinn Smith was pressed into duty on the O-line.
Says a lot about this team, their ability to plug and play out of the backfield. Jerome Messam dancing out there. You look at what's happened to this team even from the beginning, and again, losing Brett Jones and others, then injuries on the O-line, John Cornish going out of the lineup, Joe Burnett going out of the lineup, Fred Pennant, Juwan Simpson, Charleston Hughes. You look at all of those injuries, with the exception of their quarterback, Bo Mitchell, who's been healthy all season long. You might not give too many teams chances like the Calgary Stampeders to get to 14-4.
No, absolutely not. But it's not just a matter of assembling the depth. And John Murphy, Brendan Mahoney, the rest of that personnel staff have done a remarkable job of that. And no doubt John Murphy's a guy who's going to be talked about for general manager opportunities during this coming off season. But it's also the mentality within the team for people to step up. We're not just talking about having depth, we're talking about guys being asked to flip from the defensive side to the offensive side of the line, and the team still being successful despite that. You're talking about in this game, Rob Cote, a fullback, guy who's out there now playing special teams. He's lining up as a wide receiver right now because of injuries. A lot of times you can survive the storm.
BC, number 91. Illegal block, BC, number 24. First down, BC.
A lot of times you can survive that storm in terms of injuries to your American players because of what the size of the talent pool is. They may not necessarily be guys you have in camp, but they're guys that are on your radar that you can pull in. These guys have dealt with some serious injuries and serious challenges to the depth on the Canadian side, where the talent pool is more limited, and you've got to prepare well, you've got to draft well, you've got to develop well, and the Stampeders have done that, and that's why they've been able to keep their heads well above water.
Well, for the BC Lions, they need a magical fourth quarter. They haven't been able to move the ball against this very stout, very solid Calgary D today. Andrew Harris up the gut. Travis Lulay's 3 previous drives have all resulted in 2-and-outs and punts. 4 straight punts. Took the knee, of course, before half, and a field goal. There's the offensive coordinator, George Cortez. He's been around. He's done that as well.
Well, he certainly has. We've talked about the connection between Jeff Tedford and John Hufnagel having coached together here in Calgary. George Cortez was the offensive line coach with John Hufnagel as the offensive coordinator for several years here as well, and later became the OC under Huff as head coach.
There's Harris. First down for the Lions. Well, they're going to have to find a way here. Take everything they have and more. They're going to have to score in bunches.
Well, Travis Lulay talked at halftime with Farhan about the fact that you can't get it all back in one play. You have to be somewhat patient, keep pressing, keep going. But time ticks on.
Enemy right now.
Yeah, they haven't been able to muster anything, and now you've got a quarter left going into the win. The challenge is mount.
There is some trickery now. Chris Rainey to the other side. I don't know what they call that play, but that worked. Close to the first down. Direct snap back, and they had a lot of motion in the backfield, and Rainey sprints out close to the marker.
Yeah, slot back reverse direct snap to Harris, who flips to Rainey. Again, trying to get this speedster involved. One of the guys who's a big play guy, a guy who you believe may have an opportunity to get you some points back in one play.
They do give him the first down, so 1st and 10, BC from the 44. Down 22. Protection this time, Lulay, and it's caught by Austin Cauley. Our Wall brings him down. That's their biggest offensive play for the Lions. Lulay to Austin Cauley. And they're going to have to hurry it up here and go high tempo literally the rest of the way.
A well-timed throw here from Lulay. Not the prettiest ball, but it got where it needed to be. Move the Lions into scoring position. See what they can do from here, though, as we know this is where Rich Stubler's defense really tightens up.
3 consecutive first downs for the Lions. Lulay again. Here's Rainey. Isolated now. Rainey cutting back, and Chris Rainey goes down near the 25-yard line. See where the spot is. Looks like he's going to be a little bit short of a first down. Well, they're going to give him... They give him a favorable spot, and they'll move the chains again. So it's a first down for BC, 4 straight. They're probably wondering on that sideline, where was this a little earlier? There's Rich Stubler on the left. Familiar Stubler pose. Trying to concoct something defensively. Here comes the heat. There goes the ball. Cauley spinning. Avoids one. Ducks under. Jamar Walls. Lunge. Half the first down yardage. Maybe even a little more, up near 8 yards for the Lions.
Well, the Stampeders put the heat on Travis Lulay here. Keon Raymond off the edge, unblocked man, but Lulay knows it's coming. He knows he's got to get the ball out in a hurry. As does his receiver, Austin Cauley, who does a nice job getting his head snapped around to be ready to receive that one.
Lulay last week came in the final game of the regular season. Again, a nothing game for both sides. Kind of a tune-up, trying to shake some rust off. He's got some rhythm going right now, over 100 yards passing. And another one. It's a first down for Manny Arsenault. And time ticks away.
Well, and as you see what the BC Lions are doing right now, you wonder if the nickel and diming might have worked a little bit better in that third quarter when they were trying so hard to get some big plays with the wind at their backs and try and get something back a bunch of yards at a time. But now finding success on this drive.
play coming up here. The drive started on their 17. Kahari Jones imploring his team.
Timeout, BC.
BC is going to take a timeout here. Well, if you're new to watching CFL football, for those of you in the States or watching other parts of our planet, may seem like an insurmountable lead at 28-6, but we've seen stranger things in the Canadian Football League.
As the expression goes, no lead is safe. Many coaches will tell you one of the hardest things to do in a CFL game is close.
However, the Calgary Stampeders again. That win in the Grey Cup last year. Experience gained. They rarely bend in this red zone. First and 10. Here comes another reverse. Cauley dropped it. Muffed it. It's on the turf. And Austin Cauley, huge loss here. Try that reverse again. That one was completely botched.
And I have a feeling on this one, we've seen Austin Cauley throw a pass before, and I think that's what they're trying to set up on this one. Having previously run a reverse to Chris Rainey. Watch Andrew Harris in the backfield just to the right of Travis Lulay. He's going to block. Now he's slipping out down the sidelines. They're hoping to get Austin Cauley rolling to his right to try and hit Harris down the sidelines. But the botched exchange tears that whole idea apart.
Loss of 21, second in an area code now. Have to go deep. Lulay now escapes, in trouble. He's throwing it for Sean Gore, incomplete. Well, they're going to bring out Leone here, but
they have no choice.
7:53, and yeah, third down and 31. So they'll have to try to get 3 here, and still almost impossible against this Calgary Stampeder D. Leone has enough range here. Watched him in warm-up into this breeze.
You see, just in terms of the play calling, the BC Lions are desperate.
Kick is up, and it will be good. Scores 28-9, and desperation mounts for the BC Lions. Their season will come to an end here in Calgary. Sun is set here in Calgary. Maybe setting on the BC Lions. Lights are on here. Sunday in November. Beautiful day here. Wonder how it's going to be in the next couple of weeks as the weather starts to turn in our great country. Next week, the East Final in Ottawa features the Red Blacks and Hamilton Tiger Cats, and the West Final will feature the Edmonton Eskimos, and unless they absolutely blow this, the Calgary Stampeders. Marquay McDaniel, 7 minutes to go here.
Well, you talk about that East Final matchup. How about Hamilton, Ottawa for the 3rd time in 4 weeks?
Yes, they know each other well. Hamilton team, you talk about injuries, able to pull it out. Justin Medlock, a hero today. Final play of the ball game, game-winning field goal to eliminate the Toronto Argonauts. Stephen Clark is down. We'll step aside and come back with 6:55 remaining in the 4th quarter at McMahon Stadium in Calgary. Well, he used to throw footballs in this league with such skill. Now runs the plays for that Calgary Stampeders. Dave Dickinson, who Mike Benavides knows well. Let's go down to the coach.
Yeah, exactly right. And Dwayne mentioned it earlier on. Right now, they've lost a receiver. They got 2 defensive line playing guards. It's been 5 out of the last 6 have been 2 and outs for the Calgary Stampeders. They're playing real safe. And for the Lions, they're swarming the ball, doing a great job. What the Lions need right now is a turnover. They're swarming the football, and Calgary's playing screen, easy throws, and not trying to lose. They need to get after it.
Well, Jeff Tedford has seen his team, and they approach that red zone in this game. Self-destruct as well, and that has a lot to do with what Rich Stubler has done for the Calgary Stampeders defensively. Defense wins championships. Jerome Messam, high stepping, sideline, Messam now, still on his feet.
No, he didn't.
Jerome Messam, what a run. Jerome Messam just ran through a BC Lion. Now you see him, now you don't, now you miss him.
We could make a Dr. Seuss book out of this play by Jerome Messam. Over, under, around, and through. He does it all here. Adam Bighill, 121 tackles on the season. He doesn't miss many. The hurdle there, speed down the sidelines. 61 yards. Unbelievable day for Jerome Messam.
Look at this right here. Eric Fraser. Jerome Messam.
You remember week 1 of the season, we were doing a game in Saskatchewan, and Jerome Messam
was on the bike.
Well, he said from the sidelines,
because he was upset.
TSN overlooked him in the top 50 player poll. And I'll just say it for Jerome right now. How do you like me now?
There you go.
Good job.
There you go. Well, you know, in defense of voters, a lot of times...
I didn't vote, by the way.
And a lot of times it was based on what happened last year, and Jerome Messam was in Montreal last year and didn't get a lot of playing time. Had they been voting this year, guess what? Top 50 next year, Jerome Messam. I'm not going to guarantee you it, but I'm pretty sure you're going to be top 50.
Yeah, pretty safe bet. Over 1,000 yards on the ground during the season, close to 500 yards as a receiver. And again, this is an underrated part of his game. Very natural catching the ball and terrific after the catch.
Longest catch and run of Jerome Messam's career, and he's had a terrific career. Just outstanding Canadian with the Eskimos a few years ago. Monstrous year, and the injuries continue to pile up. BC Lions.
You can't tackle me out there. Come on, Biggie, let's go.
Zach Minter. Red zone today, this to seal it for the Calgary Stampeders. Sealed. Touchdown. Mr. Rogers does it again.
Back to the neighborhood.
The neighborhood's going north next week. We needed that. This baby's over.
Eric Rogers. You know, you remember as a kid, Reggie Jackson in the world of baseball was Mr. October.
November man.
Meet Mr. November. Eric Rogers, 4 touchdowns in the month of November last year. Got a couple here today.
Good job, man.
You know, all the talk as well about Bo Mitchell as the outstanding player. It goes back to your conversation about having, you know, 3 potential finalists as nominees. Eric Rogers very well could be an outstanding player nominee in this league. He's had an outstanding day. Outstanding season. Eric Rogers caps off Jerome Messam's brilliant catch and run. Almost over for the Stamps. 2 weeks away from the Grey Cup in Winnipeg.
After the convert, objectional conduct, Calgary, number 93. 10-yard penalty will be applied on the kickoff.
And the road to Winnipeg will go through Ontario and Alberta.
Pretty good rivalry games. Getting teed up right here.
Hello, Eric Rogers.
Edmonton coming for you, baby.
Can you say touchdown?
Can you say? It's a beautiful day. Again, Paredes puts his leg into it. BC Lions 5.5 away is Shaq Murray-Lawrence to return this kick. Bounces back. Gobbled up. Calgary already starting the party here. BC Lions will be heading home. 7-11 season, a season that had More ups and downs than your average elevator. Right from the beginning, you know, you think about game one. Maybe that was an ominous tone that was set when Solomon Elimimian went out of the lineup with injury.
Well, they've certainly lost leaders on both sides of the ball. Travis Lulay down for a time this year. Mentioned that midseason injury to Solomon Elimimian that took him out of the lineup down the stretch.
Lulay, sidearm to Cauley. Sidestep, and Freddie Bishop trying to chase him down. Austin Cauley got a positive 3 yards, almost 4 yards on that play. Went calling for a player. This run ran about 30 to pick up 4.
Now Austin Cauley sending a message that the BC Lions may go down in this ball game, but they'll go down swinging.
Interesting decisions for the BC Lions in the offseason too. Big free agent decision coming up.
Yeah, a couple of them.
Andrew Harris is a free agent. And there goes Lulay, decides to run, goes forward, and still swinging right to the bitter end. You know, the Lions came in here as the big underdogs. They thought they had a puncher's chance in this ball game, and early on, we're starting to slug it out, and then that interception by Keon Raymond, the pick 6, and really since that time they've been playing from behind.
Yeah, that was a very clear turning point in this football game. The Lions, they had the right game plan and they executed it well in the first quarter of this football game. But turnovers, as they almost always do, proved costly. Pick 6 by Keon Raymond woke up a slumbering giant in this Calgary Stampeder team. They haven't looked back.
Incomplete pass 8 times. This game, the BC Lions started their possession inside their own 20-yard line. It says a lot about the kicking game as well, and special teams. They did a terrific job, Calgary, on Chris Rainey and company.
Well, we had a conversation last night. We talked about Chris Rainey and the impact that he had in that midseason game, over 330 return yards, 2 return touchdowns. Mike Benavides, veteran CFL coach, looked at us and said, that won't happen again, knowing exactly that Mark Killam, special teams coordinator for the Calgary Stampeders, would have his troops ready to roll.
Their return game has had no impact on this game. Lulay now goes back, and out of the backfield is Harris one-handing it, and Harris plows forward up near the first down marker. 3-minute warning now. BC Lions preparing to head home, and the Calgary Stampeders getting ready for another Battle of Alberta next week in Edmonton. Well, Adam Bighill disappointed today, but it's been a whirlwind for him the last 48 hours. Here's Farhan.
Yeah, guys, the Lions have lost a few players, but one guy that has been added to the lineup was Adam Bighill Jr. His wife, Christina, gave birth to the couple's first child late Friday night. She went into labor early Friday morning, and the delivery wasn't planned around football at all. It just happened to work out that way. He didn't come with the team to Calgary initially Friday night. He came Saturday afternoon, and he said he's already really proud of the little fella because he's completed his first power clean. You know, that means a lot to Adam. He's a workout freak, and he's going through a lot of emotions right now. Emotions he said he never thought he could feel. He was able to focus on 3 hours here. He's going to be disappointed with the loss, but he's got something pretty special to go home to later on tonight.
Yeah, that's for AJ. Nothing like becoming a new daddy. So congratulations to the Bighills. Adam Bighill Jr. just signed a 4-year contract with the BC Lions. Be a future linebacker.
Well, I think so, and I'll tell you, I think he's working on it already.
There we go.
The apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
No.
You know, Adam Jr., born at 11:23 p.m., made his first tackle at 11:25.
There you go. Well, Adam Bighill, again, this is a tough way for the BC Lions to go out today, you know, especially for Jonathan Jennings and, you know, the karma he had late in the season. Adam Bighill had an outstanding season, 121 defensive tackles, led the CFL. I'm sure they don't want this performance, or lack thereof, to diminish what they did down the stretch as Lulay goes down and sacked exclamation point for the Calgary Stampeders. Brandon Boudreau with the sack. Let's go down to Mike Benavides again.
Well, when you guys talk about Adam Big Hill, the guy is a consummate professional, one of the best I've been around. He brings his teammates together and consistently is looking for greatness. He's a guy that gets everything out of his body and an outstanding individual. And this room's full of great individuals, and that is a guy that's got a bright future and already has.
Oh, yeah, he does.
No question about that. Absolutely one of the elite players in the Canadian Football League. Very deserving finalist. Most outstanding defensive player award this season. Moved from weak side linebacker into the middle after Solomon Elanimian was hurt.
Dropping the ball, Brian Burnham, and you go back to the play, the Jennings to Burnham early on, and Keon Raymond taking the ball, and there's Keon again, took it back for 6 points, all after that successful challenge by John Hufnagel that prevented a touchdown. The Lions got a field goal, and that's all they've been able to get are field goals. John Hufnagel, Rich Stubler, Dave Dickinson, the offense, defense, special teams, won all 3 phases in this ball game. Leone, low kick. Dawson pounces on it. 1:49 to play here. Well, later tonight, BMO Raptors basketball on TSN continues. Raptors taking on the Sacramento Kings. 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific on TSN2. So what do you think about next week? Well, the top 2 teams make it to their respective finals. The Ottawa Redblacks have carved such an amazing story. Hamilton still in it despite all their injuries. Calgary, a depleted O-line, still hanging in as defending champs. And then the Edmonton Eskimos playing terrific football all season.
Yeah, it's going to be 2 great matchups, and it's exactly playoff football shaping up the way that it should here in the 2015 postseason. And I just want to point out, as you mentioned, this Stamps O-line, as they're just looking to keep their quarterback healthy, let the clock run here.
Their O-line / D-line.
These guys haven't allowed a sack. They have plugged in 2 defensive tackles as offensive guards. They've moved a guy who's played everywhere but center to center, and they haven't allowed a sack.
So they're going to take the knee here and give it back to BC. And I think they just want to get out of here unscathed.
Well, that's it, right? As much as anything, rather than have running backs or quarterbacks taking hits, they've suffered enough damage in this football game. Even your offensive linemen, if they've got to get running around and blocking, anything can happen. At this point for the Calgary Stampeders, let's get into next week as healthy as we can possibly be.
John Hufnagel recorded his 100th win earlier this season as Stampeder head coach, and a lot of talk about what happens next year. Right now, all they're caring about is next week. With another win, possibility of a week after another trip to the Grey Cup game. Well, we could have several candidates, including Bo Mitchell and Eric Rogers, but our Nissan Titan player of the game solidified that with one monstrous run.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic today. The trade deadline pickup. Jerome Messam stepped into the lineup for an injured John Cornish. This is a guy who is a 1,000-yard rusher, 1,500-yard from scrimmage guy during the regular season, and he lived up to all that today. This is the highlight of the day for me, Jerome Messam, with this catch and run, 61 yards. Play of the game from the player of the game, Jerome Messam, Nissan Titan, player of the game.
148 total yards from scrimmage. There are the numbers, and he gets ready for next week.
Junior Turner coming in and playing offensive line, baby.
all part of the Brampton pipeline. Yep. Jerome Messam, Junior Turner, Rob Maver, all having big days today.
My roommate right here. Roomie, baby.
There's Derek Wiggins.
They want to tackle him. They can't block him.
I don't know if many would want to tackle Jerome Messam, and now he takes Isaac North to Edmonton, where he once played. and was the most outstanding Canadian. Isn't that full of delicious irony next week? Minute 2 left to play here.
Well, Jerome Messam. Big day here, close to 150 yards from scrimmage against the BC Lions. Again, he had about 30% of his yards during the season. His yards of offense, yards from scrimmage, came against BC. So having him in the lineup for Calgary was BC's worst nightmare coming in, and it all came true.
Well, the play of the year is still up for grabs, but the play of the year off the field has to go to the Calgary Stampeders to acquire Jerome Messam on deadline day. See how it all plays out. When you heard that John Cornish potentially could be out for the rest of the season, a lot of people would have thought, big question mark, big challenge for the Stampeders.
Replace 1,000-yard rushing, replace 1,000-yard rushing Canadian back with another. Great late season move.
It's Rainey down at the 30. 51 seconds remain, so we can plug in our second final. Shaw Road to the Grey Cup continues. Second part of the Twin Bill next week after the Red Blacks and Ticats. It's Calgary and Edmonton again. 1-0. 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific to 14 and 4s. Fight for the right to go to the Grey Cup game.
Coaching career of John Hufnagel continues for at least another week.
The mystery as well maybe surrounding his coaching career. He's been pretty mum about it, but he said it's a choice that he has made. Step aside, Jacques-Marie Lawrence. I'll tell you what, one thing about John Hufnagel here has done nothing but win, especially at home at McMahon Stadium.
But his teams have just been so consistent. The winning percentage attests to that. Winning record every year, Grey Cups in 2008, 2014. One of the model franchises of the Canadian Football League.
Double digits every year. 14 wins at least every year, and in their 100th playoff game in their history, the Calgary Stampeders are going to throw up another W. Travis Lulang and the Lions are going to start to think about next year and the future about a lot of players who are free agents as well, and a team that has the longest active streak making the playoffs. It's 19 straight and running, and the question mark is right over that young man's head.
Yeah, well, that seems to be the biggest question. Andrew Harris entering free agency. Not sure exactly what's in store and where things are going to go. Negotiations between he and the only professional team he's ever played for. The guy certainly, after a 1,000-yard season, second leading rusher in the CFL, will certainly be coveted around the league.
There's General Manager Wally Buono. Had a great conversation with him before the game, talking about how important it is to have a quarterback.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Certainly some good young players on this BC Lions team that have grown and developed during the season, not the least of which is young quarterback Jonathan Jennings.
We wish him the very best. We'll learn of his injury in the next 24 hours, I'm sure. 3rd and inches here to be the final play. Is the final play of the season for the BC Lions. It's over. The Calgary Stampeders keep rolling along. The Battle of Alberta to be waged again next week.
14-4 in the regular season. Now 1-0 in the playoffs. Convincing fashion for the Calgary Stampeders. As you said, Edmonton is up next.
Well, guys, the special teams were huge. It took Rainey out of it. The place kicking was phenomenal in terms of placing the punts. And when you take a look at the other facets, the challenge was to play the game without a doubt. It was unbelievable.
Our thanks to the coach, Mike Benavides, and Farhan Lalji, our entire crew here. Dwayne Ford and Rod Black with you. Can't wait for next weekend. And then there were 4, East and West. One more game in each division before the Grey Cup in Winnipeg. Battle of Alberta, Battle of Ontario. Ready to roll. 35-9 the final here, Calgary. Good night. Sports Center's coming up.
Hello and welcome to Sports Center. Gurdeep, Laura here with you. And our own Jock Climbing got in a little bit of hot water after he had a comment about the Lions, saying, for the Stamps anyway, all they needed to do was show up against the Lions and get the victory.
If that doesn't get you motivated, I don't know what will. And look, on paper, this one is a serious mismatch. Calgary won 14 games this year, 14-4. The Lions, they got in the playoffs despite winning just 7 games this year. So that's what prompted Jock's comments. Would it fire up the Lions? The answer was not really. Jonathan Jennings making his first playoff start. BC up 3-1. Late in the first quarter, BC up 3-1. Jennings looking for Brian Burnham, picked off though by Keon Raymond. Pick 6. Jennings had 3 interceptions in his only meeting with Calgary this season. Raymond had 2 of those. And Calgary just got turned up from that point. Bo Levi Mitchell actually threw for -1 yards in the first quarter. In the second, though, he gets turned up as well. In the second, he finds CFL's leading receiver Eric Rogers, who takes a big hit, but watch the replay. He does just break the plane before getting rocked. Calgary would go for 2 and get it. 15-3. John Cornish still out with neck stiffness, so Jerome Messam is in, and he's doing a fine job.
Third red zone trip. Jerome Messam looking end zone. He's got it. Touchdown.
He's a bad man.
Brampton, Ontario's Jerome Messam making it 24-3. Jennings with just 4 completions. With 3 left in the quarter, drops back on 2nd and 6. He is wrapped up here, though, by Frank Beltre. Jennings falls hard on his shoulder. And guess what? He would have to leave the game. He did not return. It gets worse for BC. Travis Lulay in to take over. Now 27-6 late in the third on 2nd and 10, looking deep. The pressure gets to him, though. He is taken down, no gain. The Lions forced to kick it away. Later in the quarter, another 2nd and long. Lulay looking for Emmanuel Arsenault. Airmails it, though. The 3rd straight 2 and out for BC, and the 4th, BC down 22. Lulay looking deep, looking for anything for Austin Collie. That's a 30-yard gain. They get into the red zone for the first time since the first quarter. They try a trick play here on 1st and 10, but Collie fumbles it. Rolls away for a loss of 21. Brutal. The Lions only get a field goal off of that drive that looked promising. Then on the ensuing Stamps possession, Mitchell with a quick throw to Messam. Slides off Adam Bighill, goes up the sideline, and then hurdles the defender right there. Still on his feet. Finally taken down inside the 10. 61-yard play. Longest catch and run of Messam's career. Nice little pickup. Methinks so. Then Mitchell's going to seal it here for the win, finding Rogers for his 2nd touchdown of the game. 35-9 is the final for the Calgary Stampeders. The Stamps improved 11-1 this season when leading at halftime. BC had just 35 total yards of offense in the 3rd quarter. Gross. It's the 12th postseason meeting between the Stamps and the Lions, and the Stamps own it 9-3. How about Jerome Messam? He was awesome in this one. So awesome that he got to talk to our Farhan Lalji.
Jerome, this was your 2nd playoff game as a starter. You were pretty motivated by the fact it took this long to get to this point. You feel like saying how you like me now?
A little bit, but I'm not going to go there. You know, I've always been confident in my ability, and I appreciate the people that believe in me and stand by me, and anybody that ever counted me out, you know, like you said.
Take me through the 2nd half of this game. You guys had 2 injured linemen, got conservative with the game plan. It really was leaning on you a lot, and then you pull off that big reception. Just take me through that play and just the 2nd half in general.
Well, at halftime, Bo came to speak to me, and he said, you know, it's going to be on me. It's going to be on us. You know, we're going to believe in the run, and he's going to make plays with his arm. So shout out to Junior Turner coming in and playing guard. You know, we had to have some guys step up because we had injuries, and it was just a point where, you know, I was trying to make a play happen with that long play. I was just trying to not let Biggie tackle me in space. You know, I was trying to give them hard work all day, and just want to go out there and make a play.
Look ahead to next week and a chance for redemption against Edmonton.
Yeah, it's gonna be a different game than last time they played. I wasn't here last time. I don't think we ran the ball too well last time we met, so it's gonna be a good game. I hope they're ready to play.
Thanks for this.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
So, Laura Dykin, the West Final is now set, and it is Battle of Alberta.
Ooh, baby.
Stamps and Eskies. Both teams played each other pretty tight during the season. Edmonton took the season series 2-1. CFL MOP candidate Bo Levi Mitchell struggled against the Esks this year. 3 touchdowns to go against 5 interceptions. With more, let's send you down the hall now to Smitty and the boys.
All right, thank you, Gurdeep. Yes, the Calgary Stampeders' bid for back-to-back Grey Cup titles remains very much alive, although the next challenge, as you pointed out, is likely to be much greater than the one they just faced. Jock Climie, Matt Dunnigan, Milt Stegall, Chris Schultz joining me on the panel. Calgary Stampeders were heavy favorites in this game over the Lions. Understandably so. They went 14-4. BC was 7-11. And yet, Jock, they've had to deal with their own adversity, like in the offensive line. And Calgary's a way of dominating games even without looking like they're dominating a game.
No, that's the sign of a great football team. They're businesslike is how I describe them. Look, it's been 20 years since we've seen a division semifinal where there's been a 7-win gap between the two participants. Calgary is a 14-4 football team because they don't care how they win as long as they do. And in fact, they pride themselves on winning ugly. Coach Hufnagel will tell you that's how they want to do it. And Jerome Messam is kind of perfect for the Calgary Stampeders and his style, which is just grind it out in the ground. I mean, picking up 4 to 6 to 8 yards almost every time he touches the football. Calgary Stampeders had excellent first down production, and they got into the red zone. They scored touchdowns. It wasn't spectacular, but it was Calgary Stampeder football.
Well, to me, it was a 14-4 regular season record for the Calgary Stampeders, and they looked at it. It was a 7-win, 11-loss record for the BC Lions, and it looked at it. We knew Rich Stubler was going to go into the game, have a good plan, but my hat's off to Dave Dickinson, because as the game progressed, all of a sudden you had 2 defensive tackles in Junior Turner and Quinn Smith playing offensive guards. So you can't afford to have pocket passes. You have to get rid of the football quick, and you have to get rid of it efficiently. And when you run plays like this, 1, 2, 3, bang, there's the receiver, there's the reception. Then the pressure on those 2 offensive guards that are not trained as offensive guards are truly limited in what they have to do. They had types of plays that didn't put the pressure on the new players that were playing such critical positions in terms of protecting the quarterback. Great job of Dave Dickinson of staying disciplined in the style of play calling. I thought it made a big difference in the game, Milton.
Well, I guess Jock Climie was correct where he said all they needed to do was show up. But they not only showed up, they showed out. And you got to give a lot of credit to that defense. And all year long, very few people were talking about this defense being one of the best in the CFL. And they didn't need any accolades. They just go out there and they play. They were not only the best defense in the CFL, but they showed it today. Charleston Hughes, their lead and pass rusher, was out. Did they get the sacks from somewhere else? Yes, 4 sacks. Keon Raymond had a great game. Everybody contributed. Rich Stubler devised a great defensive game plan. It's not always the players. Sometimes it's the scheme, but it's a combination of the scheme and the players. They did a great job. They're going to have to do a great job next week against the Edmonton Eskimos if they want to win the game.
BC Lions 7-11 coming this football game. They played like a 7-11 football team. You just can't turn it on and off in the Canadian Football League and expect to go out there and play well towards the end of the year. Now, the good thing for the BC Lions, what they did well is find themselves a quarterback for the future in Jonathan Jennings. Kid's got a bright future. It's unfortunate he got knocked out of the football game and hurt his left shoulder on this play right here, but I can tell you, he is a bright future for this football team. There's a lot of bright spots as well. Travis Lewis, they got a chance to peek at him before he enters free agency. Everybody thinks he'll go back to the BC Lions, but, just not sure. But you get a good idea of what he can do and where he's at right now. You bring Solomon Elimimian back into the picture. You've got Big Hill played well. You find Mikael Brooks up front. They got Western, Menard, and Rowe all figured out in the interior and the rush end. I think there's a lot of positives moving forward for this 7-11 football team, especially the way they turned it around in the last third of the football season.
But the 2 remaining teams in the West, once again, the 2 from Alberta, the second straight year, but Laura Gurdeep, the difference is this one will be in Commonwealth, not McMahon, and the Eskimos know they can beat the Stampeders, taking 2 of 3 in the season series.
Well, thanks very much, gentlemen. Let's go over to the Eastern semifinal now as the West is all wrapped up. One of the CFL's best rivalries, of course, the Argos, the Ticats. Second quarter here, 6-3 Hamilton. Ricky Ray to Chad Owens, 30-yard gain. The Argos marched into the goal line where Brandon Whitaker hammers it in, capping an 8-play, 72-yard drive as the Argos take the lead. Meanwhile, third stringer Jeremiah Masoli making just his second career start thanks to injuries to Zach Volaris as well as Jeff Matthews. He was struggling in the the first half, though, went 5 of 10 for just 26 yards. Ticats down 4 at the break. Now, Hamilton won all 3 meetings against Toronto in the regular season, outscoring them 111 to 57. Different story here as Akwasi Owusu-Ansah picks off Masoli, and that gets Ja'Cory Harris warming up on the sideline. Hamilton going way down that depth chart. 11-6 to score now, and the offense not looking any better with Harris, as he is absolutely flattened there. The Argos back in the red zone now, where they have a CFL best 70.6% efficiency. And it's Owens there for the 9-yard touchdown, 18-6 Argos. Late in the quarter, Hamilton goes back to Masoli, trying to get something going. Now keep your eye on Owusu here. He completely blows the tire, leaving Bakari Grant wide open. The Tabbies' biggest play, first touchdown of the day as well, and that brought them within 6 points. Let's go to the fourth quarter now. 2nd and 9. Ted Laurent gets to Ray for one of his 2 sacks in the game. The Argos took a safety rather than punting, so that brought Hamilton within 4, and with great field position after an Argos penalty on the kickoff, C.J. Gable breaks a few tackles. 3rd and goal here. Masoli dives across the goal line for the touchdown. Hamilton back up by 3 now, under a minute to go. Swayze Waters, already with 2 missed field goals in this one, has a chance to tie it from 43 yards out. It's through 22-all. The Ticats chasing a 3rd straight berth in the Eastern Final. 35 ticks to go. Masoli hits Taquan Underwood for the short gain, but Martin Wright is called for roughing the passer. Brutal penalty there for the Argos, puts Hamilton in field goal range. No time left. Justin Medlock with a chance to win it from 47 yards out.
For the win, Justin Medlock, money, and the Hamilton Tiger Cats are headed to the nation's capital.
Well, that was exciting, and yes, the Ticats winners 25-22. It's Hamilton's first win this year when trailing at halftime, and also its first win when losing the turnover battle, and a costly miscue by the Argos there at the end. Here is Martin Wright on that pivotal roughing the passer penalty.
9 times out of 10, you can't control the ref, so I thought it was an unfair call. So, I mean, I did my job, I did what I had to do. So, I mean, you can't control the refs. I did my best pass rush move, got around a deep offensive tackle, then he pushed me in the back and pushed me into the quarterback.
I try to, I take pride in what I do, and I didn't do my job today, and that's why we're done. So, at least from my perspective.
We're a complete team here. Everybody's ready to play, and we were just there for each other.
The way that he responded, how he handled the situation, not only during this week, but during the game that you mentioned. He handled like a true pro. I talked to him and said, listen, we're going to keep you out for a couple series, and are you ready to go back in? I need to know that you're ready. And he said, Coach, let's just go win the football game.
So the tail of the tape now when it comes to the Eastern Final will be the Red Blacks' first ever playoff game, and as you can see, Ottawa has been better in pretty much every major category in the 2 regular season meetings against Hamilton. But Kent Austin did confirm that Jeremiah Masoli will start again next week. So let's hear again from Rod Smith, who's joined by Jock Climbing.
So much of the talk about this game heading in, Jock, concerned the disparity of experience at quarterback between Jeremiah Masoli, making just his 2nd ever CFL start, and the veteran Ricky Ray. And that's an understandable storyline, but I don't think really that was the difference in this game as much as some other things.
No, I agree. And I credit to the Hamilton Tiger Cat coaching staff, because I think that they designed this game plan in a way that took the quarterbacks really out of it. If you managed a football game, you'd win. That was their message, and they were right. Why? First of all, special teams. Critical in this football game. Swayze Waters was supposed to be the ace in the hole for the Argos, him coming back out of injury. He missed an opportunity to recover a punt, which would have been huge, and then he missed 2 critical field goals. Second point is a running game for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Hamilton Tiger Cats, running game. It's almost non-existent all season long, and then C.J. Gable gets 89 yards on the ground. And believe me, when they were going into the win and they were picking up positive yards, that was huge. And then finally, the Hamilton Tiger Cats neutralized the Argos receiving core. Yes, the big 3 was not present. it was noticeable. You could tell that Ricky Ray was not comfortable in the pocket. You could tell he had lots of pressure, and he did not have open receivers. That was the difference in the football game. Congratulations to the Tiger Cats are going to the East Final.
Yeah, the East Final in Ottawa to play the Red Blacks for the third time in 4 weeks. Of course, they lost to Ottawa twice at the end of the regular season, but they still have a chance to get back to the Grey Cup for the third straight year.
As for the NFL, the Giants looking to end the Patriots' undefeated season. Highlights next.